Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel and welcome back to another match of the Summer Nations series. The Rugby World Cup warm-up games are still well and truly in the swing of things, and this has been an exciting week so far in terms of what we have seen happen in the rugby world. We haven't seen a huge amount of games. We've seen a lot of information coming out just before this World Cup. Teams being announced, including Scotland, don't actually have a game this week, but I believe they've got a warm-up game, one more before they head to their Rugby World Cup in France. But this game, Wales versus South Africa. Wales, they had quite a few late changes due to injuries, whether that is losing Dan Biggar, losing Liam Williams. So two of the main players in their starting side are now not going to be taking part. Also, Alex Cuthbert out on the wing. He has been replaced with Tom Rogers, but we will get straight into the lineup for the Welsh. In this game, it is going to be Domachowski in the front row alongside Elliot D. Sadly, last week, we did see the injury of Dewey Lake, and I believe at this stage, it's not looking too flash for his Rugby World Cup. And sadly, the trend has been for international games of rugby throughout the Summer Nations series, and in fact, throughout all games, it's been at least one player injured per match, per game. Yesterday, we saw Samoa versus the Barbarians, in which the Samoans actually ended up with three of their injuries. Tim Nanai Williams, Jack Lamb, and also Ben Lamb, who is making his debut. So I'm hoping that this game will be one that breaks the trend, but there is a high chance that for both of these teams, we do see a player missing the Rugby World Cup by the end of the 80 minutes. Azarati will be the man at number 3 for the Welsh. So making quite a few changes compared to what they did have in their last week's game up against the English. In the lock and jaw will be Ben Carter at number 4 and Will Rowlands at number 5. So no Adam Beard in the starting side, unlike what they did have for their last fixture. Dan Lydiate gets a start at number 6, Jack Morgan number 7, and Aaron Wainwright as the number 8. So it's quite a new look side for Wales overall. Quite a few young players that still have the opportunity of making it to that Rugby World Cup. They haven't announced their side as of yet, which means every impact and every performance that you put on before that announcement, you could creep that a little bit closer to finding your spot for the Rugby World Cup. Kieran Hardy at number 9 with Sam Costello starting at number 10. Like I mentioned, Dan Biggar was supposed to be at 10, but due to an injury, it meant that he is going to be missing out. I believe there was a calf strain and also a back strain, I think it was. I can't remember which way around it was for Liam Williams and Dan Biggar, but either way, both of them having to pull out of this contest. So Sam Costello, another young player who now gets a crack. Johnny Williams at number 12 with Mason Grady at his outside centre role. Rio Dye out on the left. Tom Rogers coming into the side late as well. It just seems like Wales, they've hit an unlucky patch with injuries. And then at number 15, Kai Evans gets a chance. Now, some would say not as strong under the high ball as Liam Williams, but it's a great opportunity for the young man, see what he can do. Up against the Box in the chat, we have got there, did you see the Warriors won? I heard about it. I didn't get to watch the highlights as of yet, but by the sounds of it, they are continuing that great form, which is absolutely awesome to see. Let's hope Wales win, says Richard. Let's go, boys. Hello all, says Mr. Fantastic AJ. The Box, says Horatio, and also Freddie is going for the Box. The green and gold all the way. Good morning, mate, says Chronic. Welcome in. And also we've got there Hamish looking awesome as usual, rocking the rugby. Oh, lovely. Where's the suit and tie? Well, it is currently sitting 6 degrees here in New Zealand, and I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit warmer by the time we reach the World Cup, but I believe next week we will have the suit out for New Zealand versus South Africa. This game, though, seeing as there are quite a few changes for both teams, maybe some would say they're not playing their A sides completely as well, giving a bit of an experimental lineup for both of these teams. I decided I would keep the Puma shirt on and keep a little bit warmer. We have got there go the bot from Cambodia, says Sean, and Sup says Dylan, welcome in. Let's be honest, this is not from Wales or South Africa, or for those not from South Africa or Wales, wouldn't mind seeing a few injuries, but let's pretend otherwise, says Sam. I don't know about that. I feel like with the amount of international injuries I've seen over the last 2 weeks, I just hope that we can get through a game without either side ending up with an injury, like every game at the moment. Last week, Dewey Lake and Tane Plumtree, the two players who got injured for Wales in their game up against England, where we saw Jack Van Porfleet. He is now going to be missing that Rugby World Cup. Like I mentioned, Samoa yesterday lost 3 players. Some of those guys might be back in time, but it's such a shame that we're seeing so many injuries just before the World Cup. Shannon Frizzell calf strain is apparently what's happening, or hamstring or something in the league for the AB. Some players are getting injured in training rather than actually making it out on the field. Dan Bigger, Liam Williams, the list goes on. Hello, says Marion, welcome in. And taking Red Bulls to hopefully see the Box lose, mate, New Zealand. We must have them feeling not so confident, says Chronic, for that game next week. And that is going to be taking place it will be 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time. And third time watching this guy, best option outside of pay-per-view, says Sean. Hugely appreciated, mate. And yeah, we've got plenty more coverage coming up later on today. And that is going to be Fiji versus France, the last game. But then also before that, we've got Ireland versus England. Hello, my mate. I'm supporting your channel from South Africa, Durban, says Cluin. We don't have a 9, says Sean. So is that for the Springboks? Possibly. Because if that is the case, I know that they selected 4 halfbacks for the Rugby World Cup. But whether or not, I guess, your first pick guy is there, we'll have to wait and see how many starters today are yellow carders. Hopefully not as many as that last game between Wales and England. We ended up seeing about 4 or 5 yellow cards in that game. And Wales could have brought Reece Zammit into number 14, says Luke. They could have, but I believe they wanted to try and give him as little game time throughout this contest as possible. So that is probably why he's coming off the bench. And even that they probably didn't want to have to do before this Rugby World Cup because of that risk of injury. And he is certainly a player they do not want to lose. I'm on my way to watch. Hopefully the Red Sox beat the Yankees again. Go the Box, says Mo. And hey, Hamish, says Rooster. Welcome in. Hello, says Atini. And then how's it, Hamish, from Sean? But I hope everyone is doing very well. This is the Springboks lineup, and they are going to hopefully be doing very well throughout this game, even though they've made a few changes to the starting side compared to what we have seen in past weeks. For the Springboks, Stephen Kitsoff, Malcolm Marx, and Franz Malharba, though, a very strong front row. Marx or Umbanambi was the big question of who they would end up going with. They went with Marx, which means Umbanambi. Coming off the bench, Stephen Kitsoff at 1. He was tremendous throughout the Rugby Championship. He will look to really put pressure on Kieran Azarati. Kieran Azarati, said Kevin there, I think. But yeah, that's going to be a great scrum battle. And I have a feeling could end up going Stephen Kitsoff way. Jean Klein at number 4 with RG Snyman getting his first start of this year at number 5. He's come off the bench a few times, but now looking to really cement himself as that starting 5 with the injury or with the illness that we have seen of Ludiacha, Sia Khaleesi at 6, Peter Steph-Toy at number 7, and Jasper Visa to close out the 4 back. So he's a man who's been struggling a little bit for form, but would love to be able to have a big game here. Khaleesi just coming back from his long-term injury, so he'll be hoping to also slowly build back into it. The last thing that the Springboks need is him to be injured, and also just an injury in general. We've already seen Lukanyo is more than likely out for the World Cup. Andre Pollard, still a little bit of a question mark, but more than likely missing it. And Grant Williams, player who got injured only a couple of weeks ago due to concussion, he is already back. So that is good news for them. Although some would say they already have enough 9s, with Jaden Hendrickson getting his first start of 2023. Mani Lebok keeps his spot at 10, and a lot of people are relying on that man to have a great performance here, and just in general, heading through this Rugby World Cup. Damien Dearlende at number 12, Jesse Creel at number 13, a new combination with that injury of Lukanyo and then Cheslin Colby out on the left wing for the first time this year. Cannon Moody out on the right after a tremendous game up against Argentina. I believe that was the one that actually cemented his spot in the Rugby World Cup squad, which we will be looking through just a little bit later on. And Vili Larue back in the side at number 15. And he's had a pretty decent 2023 as well for this year. Hello, mate. Supporting your channel from South Africa, Durban. Says Clun. I think I went back a little bit too far, didn't I? Yes. And dude, you guys have got to remember, the more of an underdog you make us, the more we come back. South Africans are stubborn that way. We have ample depth, says Sean. Although I don't think anyone is calling the Springboks underdogs in this game in particular. They've gone with a pretty strong lineup. Wales making a lot of changes, taking a lot of experience out of their side. Some people are saying this game won't even be close, but I hope Wales are able to dig deep, find a little bit of momentum, because I feel like for the sake of Warren Gatland's mindset going into that Rugby World Cup, they need to start performing heading into these warm-up games. Hello, Hamish. I enjoy your commentary, mate. Keep up the good work. The Springboks will win by 12, says Freedom and Truth. Thank you very much, mate. And 12, I feel like, to be honest, it's not a bad prediction. Overall, there's also a little bit of a chance that we could see a bit more in favour of the Springboks, depending on how Wales go. If they play like they did up against England last week, I think that they'll struggle. If they play like they did the week before, we could see a little bit more of a contested contest here. Contested contest. Not sure if that works. Lewis Rees-Zammit for Wales could have done with him, says Effian. So yeah, he will be coming off the bench at number 23. So they've decided to ease him back in to the side at least 3-try win, Box by 21. Says Rooster, if the Box beat Ireland, they'll probably win the World Cup. If they don't, encounter New Zealand. Says Chronic, can still believe some big teams won't make the quarterfinals, says Chris Seo. Well, the fact that we've got so many big teams this year in the Rugby World Cup means that is almost confirmed in a way, because there's about 6 or 7 sides that I believe have a really good chance of winning this Rugby World Cup. Yes, there are some that are a little bit more favourite than others, but it's probably going to be the closest Rugby World Cup we have seen in an extremely long time, which is absolutely awesome. It's great for the sport. Hopefully, everything for that competition runs smoothly. Did you notice is missing a finger? Says Chronic, I did not. Is that due to an injury, or is that just due to not having a finger? I assume maybe a past injury, but rugby-related injury? Chronic, do let me know. Wales by 10, easy, says Scott there. Greetings, Hamish, says Charles, and Rees-Zammit on the bench. He is, yep. So he was added in, I believe, late due to some other changes that they had to make. It was Tom Rogers was going to be coming off the bench, but instead he had to move into the starting side, which meant they needed someone else off the bench, and Lewis Rees-Zammit said, yep, it'll be me. I'll have that spot. And greetings again from Berlin. Hope you're fitting well, says Stuart. I am indeed. It's currently 1:42 a.m. New Zealand time. So I actually slept early to yesterday, although I didn't get a lot of sleep because I was too excited for the rugby. So I've probably had about 4 hours sleep. We're going to be staying right up until maybe about 11 p.m. tonight. So we've got a big day in front of us, but I'm looking forward to all of this rugby. I mentioned Fiji, France are also playing. Alongside that, England, they are going to be taking on the Irish. It's going to be a boring game, says Jay. Well, luckily, you don't have to watch it. That's the beauty of rugby. You can just turn it off, you can sleep through it, and then you can look back after and see that you missed an absolute thriller. And I got the box, England, Wales, Australia out before the quarterfinal. Says Chris, and Wales look like they're trying out a few players. I hope Grant Williams comes on for the box because he is pure class. Says Charles, yeah, he got extremely unlucky in that game up against Argentina where he was knocked out in almost record time in a rugby game. But luckily he's back, and now I feel like there is exactly, well, I mean, he's got the perfect opportunity to try and confirm one of the spots for a Springbok halfback in that Rugby World Cup squad. Of course, it's the September 2nd or 1st that you do have to completely confirm your team. Whether or not we see a halfback dropped for the Springboks and someone else come back in is a bit of a wait and see. It's that time, good rugby friends, and our favourite commentary, says Polly Bear, and Bok will top their group, says Madigan there. And they're in a tough group. They are alongside Scotland, Ireland, Portugal, and also, no, Portugal aren't in their group. I'm going to have to look it up. There we go. Luckily, I've got all the animations and whatnot to save me. I can't remember. Tonga and Romania. There we go. The brain hasn't quite kicked in yet. Like I mentioned, it's 1:40 a.m. But it's going to be a tough group to get through without, like I mentioned, injuries earlier on. But also alongside that, their big game is going to be up against Ireland. Second big game is up against Scotland. And some would even argue that that game up against the Scottish is bigger because it's the first game that they are going to be playing of that Rugby World Cup, only taking place in about 3 weeks' time, which, to be honest, the World Cup seems like it's too close now. I talked about it on one of the past live streams. We were saying about the World Cup when it was 900 and something days away, and I said, oh, it's going to be here tomorrow. And now that it almost is, I feel like I'm underprepared for this World Cup. I feel like there's still a lot of research I've got to do for these sides, a lot more information that I need to progress or need to ingest before we get to the Rugby World Cup in France. Yeah, it's going to be an entertaining one, that is for sure. Wales to win, says my name is Jeff. Sup, says Amelia. And 1:42 a.m, your excuse for no tie, says Sean. Although the game at 6:30 a.m. on Saturday morning next week, the tie should be out and ready to go. Tonga, says Sam. This will be a close game. Teams are trying to avoid injuries and not give away secrets, says Grant. And also we've got there the Scotland game as the most important game. If the Boks win that, they can rest players for the Ireland game, says Grant. And I guess to a certain extent, right, hear me out with this statement. But if they beat Scotland, I don't see them going with a full-strength side up against the Irish just because they want to make sure they still have a couple cards up their sleeve as well as if they were to lose that game with their top squad, that would of course hurt the confidence. So if you have a few changes in there, even if they do lose marginally, people will go, okay, well, that wasn't all that we had that we could put out there. So we're still in a really good spot to be able to go far. The Scotland game, I read that one, and I agree it will be the toughest contest. I think Ireland won't even get to the quarterfinals. Says it was there from Freedom and Truth. Scotland will win and Tonga, says Chris C. I don't know about that. I feel like at the moment, Tonga, don't get me wrong, they've progressed a lot in the last little while, but I don't quite see them being where they need to be to get out of that pool. If they were a part of maybe Pool D and somewhere in that middle of that pool, I think they would have had a decent enough chance, but I just feel like not being able to win those games up against the Canadians by around 40, 50 points, you know, that same game, if Ireland were taking part, I feel like we would have seen the Irish really pushing them. Will the roof be closed for this match? I'm not actually too sure yet. I saw that they're only picking up the coverage here in New Zealand from about 10 minutes before kickoff, which feels really weird because normally they do it for like an hour or so. That's exactly my theory, Hamish. Says Grant. And we have also got their lads. Says Obi and Bok by 18. Says Alfie and Wales are trying out players. They are not going to win. People put the Dragon back in its box, says Charles. Although some would argue as well, these games, yes, it's great to get a win, but this is all about for Wales trying to find that little bit of form and also finding those combinations that are going to help get them out of that group. Because Pool C looks tough at the moment. The Aussies, people don't really know what to expect from them. We also see in there Georgia, they're a bit of an underdog. Portugal and Fiji. Now Fiji, they are going to be playing a little bit later on up against France. I feel like that will be quite a nice tester for them overall. We did see the injury of Roman Intermac as well when talking about injuries. So there are plenty of players now missing from these international sides. And unfortunately, there will still be plenty more that do end up getting injured before that World Cup. And Scotland won't get out of their group. Irish in the box will, says Alfie. And how is South Africa in Pool B? They were drawn into it. I'm confused at the question. Pretty much the draw was done a long time ago, though. So some people would be complaining. I assume you're saying, mate, is it because you think they'd be in Pool A because they're defending champions? Is that the part of it that you're confused about? Or just the fact that they are a part of one of the four pools and it wasn't the pool you wanted them in? DC Grant Williams starting against the All Blacks, says Luke. It's a tricky one. I see them giving... It's got to be the Reinach or Faf de Klerk will probably get the chance in that game, if not both of them. But I think that Grant Williams, they might look to put him off the bench because he can cover that wing spot, which is a tactic that apparently is why they've got so many scrum halves, because they have got Faf de Klerk as fly half cover. They've got Grant Williams as cover for out on the wing. Which I mentioned Grant Williams, he will be playing in this game, coming off the bench in this one. So while we are at it, we'll look through at the reserves for Wales. Perry at number 16. He was off the bench in the last game, although did come on a bit earlier than anticipated. That was due to the injury that we saw of Dewey Lake. Nick Smith at number 17, and then Thomas at number 18. Williams, Basham, and Williams. Is that correct? Is it supposed to be T. Williams twice? If it is, that's kind of cool. And it's Teddy Williams and Thomas Williams in that case. Quite a few T's off the bench in a row. And then also that man's name, whose name always hurts me, Lewin, I believe it is. Levin, maybe, something like that. Hopefully he only gets 2 minutes at the end of the game and I can just slide by. And then Lewis Rees-Zammit coming into the lineup due to the injury. He is there at number 23. Rogers moves into the starting side. And then also alongside that, we did see Cuthbert missing out. But for the South Africans, Bongion Banambi at 16, Oxnard at 17, and Vincent Koch as the number 18. So strong for the Springboks. They have gone with the 6-2 split here as well. I should mention some were anticipating a 5-3, just to have that little bit more cover on the backs. But instead, they wanted a few more of those loose forwards. Franco Mostert at number 19, Marco van Staden at 20. And he is going to be a player that I feel like him and Khaleesi are fighting for the same spot. There is one thing that goes in Khaleesi's favour, and that is the fact that he's the captain. Other than that, though, if we're basing it off current form, of course, we don't know where Khaleesi is. But I think that in the actual matches, depending on how Khaleesi goes in these two warm-up games, they may actually look at Marco van Staden as a decent option, or at least a bench spot for van Staden. Moving forward, Dwayne Vermeulen, the experienced veteran, at number 21, and Williams and Valimza, the two men coming off the bench for South Africa. The question for Damian Willemse is, where is he going to come onto the field? Is it going to be 10? Is it 15? Or is it somewhere else in that exciting backline that we're going to get to see tad later on? We have got there, Scotland are a great team. They can cause an upset for either the Box or Ireland, not both, says Charles. So, yeah, it could be the case of Scotland causing some problems for the rankings overall, because when you think about it, the top two sides have to face more than likely France and New Zealand. Now, let's say, just for argument's sake, France top the group. And let's say that Ireland end up with their loss up against Scotland, right? That would then mean that Ireland more than likely would play France, New Zealand play South Africa. So if Scotland are able to cause that upset, that doesn't just upset the players that they've played against, but it also upsets the whole quarterfinal layout of this Rugby World Cup, which, to be honest, is kind of cool. In a way, the fact that one game can change it all. Llewellyn, I'll remember that. I think someone said that last year as well, and they just put like Lou and then Allen as the way to remember it. So hopefully that will stay in my brain for the second half. And Van Staden is hard as a rock, says Jason. Yeah, he's a brilliant player. Actually, for the URC, I know that Dion Ferry got a huge amount of praise for what he was able to do for the Stormers in the breakdown, but Maka Van Staden was actually just a little bit ahead in terms of those breakdown steals. So if he's able to do that off the bench in this game and bring that real impact, he could be a part of that 6-2 split that we see for them. And I'd imagine so. Weather's all over the place here, says Mr. Fantastic AJ. An evening, Hamish. No rugby lifeline in Oman. Hopefully for no injuries. Putting players out for the Rugby World Cup. Enjoy the rugby in the chat, my friend, says Joss Pike. So hopefully you are keeping well. Yeah, injuries have been the talking point of these preseason games, and I hope that it's not going to be the case in this game, but per game, per team, we've seen one injury. So I was going to say, do we predict who the player's going to be that gets injured for both teams? But I feel like that's very rough, isn't it? Because if anyone gets it right, you can't really celebrate it being like, yeah, I guessed who was going to break their arm, which I guess wouldn't be that nice. And if you were the New Zealand coach, I would have been sacked. Who would you drop and bring into this current New Zealand squad for the World Cup? Could be any position. I would probably, to be honest, I know that I've said this the whole way through and I feel like a bit of a broken record saying it, but I would bring Brad Weber in for Finlay Christie. That's probably one of the only real changes I would make to the Rugby World Cup squad. Overall, like Caleb Clark's pretty lucky to be there, so maybe you'd look at taking him out and giving, I guess that's the thing, Sean Stevenson, did we see enough from him in that one game that he got to play? And DuPont's so overrated compared to South Africa scrummies like Faf and Reinach, says RJJ. Yeah, well, both not playing in this game. So I wonder whether or not that will be the combination that they go with next week up against the All Blacks. It could be possibly half the box gets injured. Says Chris Sion, what is the time in New Zealand? So currently it is 1:53 a.m. New Zealand time. This game is going to be kicking off in about 18 minutes or so, somewhere around there. In fact, maybe a little bit closer. And as soon as it does, we will be providing that live commentary. Are you doing Fiji versus France? Buller says, Mr. Billy, we are indeed. So there are a few other games taking place. 3 a.m., I believe Georgia are playing the USA, although we won't be covering that one on the channel. But later on, Ireland taking on England. That is at 4:30 a.m. New Zealand time. And alongside that, after that game, France taking on the Fijians. Next weekend, we've got plenty of rugby action as well. These are the friendly games that are taking place, or at least they say friendly, but I don't think All Blacks box is going to have too many smiles on the faces until after the game. That is at 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time on the Saturday morning, so a very similar time to what we did see for the Barbarians versus Samoa game that took place yesterday. England versus Fiji at 2:15 a.m. Italy versus Japan at 4:30 a.m. Scotland versus Georgia also taking place at that same time. Now, Ireland versus Samoa is a bit of an interesting one because this says 5:45 a.m. I've also seen somewhere say that it's a 6:45 a.m. game, so we're not too sure yet in terms of what time it will completely be starting, but once we know, of course, we will be letting you know. And then France versus Australia, that is the last Rugby World Cup warm-up game that we get to see before heading to that Rugby World Cup. It's going to be fun. It's exciting times at the moment in the world of rugby, and I hope that everything goes smoothly for all these sides. No injuries throughout these games would be great. Spain and Argentina, says Blues Nate, for that Saturday morning, wasn't it, if I'm not wrong? Wales 10th ranking in the world, not bad, out of 109 countries, says Effie in there. And I wish Dan Carter wore the green and gold, says Sean. Well, that's the thing. At the end of the day, there's been some fantastic players that I know that I think Etzebeth, was the player when I asked that question a while ago who people would have loved to have as an All Black if it was an option. And yeah, Eben Etzebeth, I think, won that charge just a little bit. And also, I think Cheslin Colby was up there. And Sean, you can dream, mate, says Obi in there. And also we have got our French playing next Saturday. So not quite. So they will be playing Sunday time in France, but Monday morning New Zealand time. And that is up against the Australians, which is also their last Rugby World Cup warm-up game. So we're getting very close to that World Cup. The first game taking place between New Zealand and France. That is only 3 weekends away, ladies and gentlemen. But looking through, first of all, at the Springboks, who they have got for their Rugby World Cup journey. New Zealand versus South Africa taking place 6 days, 18 hours from when that screenshot was taken. But that will be next weekend's game. It's going to be a great one, although I have a feeling it's going to be played with injuries, if I'm being honest, and that might end up changing who these two sides completely go with in their Rugby World Cup squad. The first game for the Boks up against the Scottish, then they've got Romania, Ireland as their third contest, and then a physical outing up against the Tongans to close out the Rugby World Cup pool. Alongside that, we have got the Welsh upcoming game. So they have got Fiji in their opening contest, which actually means that this is the last Rugby World Cup warm-up game we will see from Wales. And a lot of people would say the last thing they wanted was to have no Dan Biggar, no Liam Williams, no Alex Cuthbert, and all the other players that we've seen injured before heading into that first game up against the Flying Fijians. Then after that, they've got Portugal, Australia as the third game, Georgia, and then just a little bit of an exciting one to throw in 77 days' time. They will be taking on the Barbarians in the end-of-year tour that we do get to see. Also, I should mention the Barbarians have 2 more games coming up before that Rugby World Cup. One up against the Northampton Saints and the other taking place up against the Bristol Bears. And I like saying Rico, like Snakey, not even. Says Blues Nate and Georgia versus USA is not even on Flow Rugby. That's quite a surprise, isn't it? With the fact that, I guess, if anyone's games were going to be on Flow Rugby, I would have thought it would be the US. But maybe, I don't know, are they not showing it because they haven't made it to that World Cup? Or is that just what they've decided to do? Whoops, the roof's open. Hope the weather holds out, says Mr. Fantastic AJ. And you have to wonder, who does the weather being poor benefit more? That kind of rhymes a little bit. But I would say to a certain extent, we know that the South Africans are going to go with a little bit of a kicking game here, of course, with Mane Lebok at 10, Willie Leroux at the back, and then Jaden Hendricks. I think he's more of a running halfback than a kicking one, but he will still put up that box kick every once in a while. I think that South Africa will get that ball in the air early to try and test out this Welsh side, definitely with a couple younger players getting added in late, maybe not as, I guess, familiar with the tactics of the Welsh side, with Kai Evans going in, also Costello, and alongside that, having Kieran Hardy as the Niners' match on TV. The match between South Africa and Wales is in New Zealand. I'm not sure about elsewhere, though. I assume it's on SuperSport, though, in South Africa, but I'm not too sure about in Ireland or anywhere along those lines. Hey, brother, long time no see. I must be busy on your side, Birdie V. Always good, my bro. Did I miss a Birdie V message? I did. How's it, Hamish, brother? How are you? I'm doing very well, mate. It's been a while. All good, my side. So, yeah, it's great to have you back just before this World Cup, of course. It's going to be an exciting one, but this game actually only around 15 minutes away, ladies and gentlemen. So if you haven't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It's on Amazon Prime. Says Jason, will Pollard be back for the Cup? A lot of signs are pointing to no, but there are still a few people who are still hopeful. He's got a better chance than Lukanyuam. That is all I've heard anyway. That if anyone was going to be able to make it back, it would just be Pollard, maybe by about the mid-stage of the Rugby World Cup. A little bit similar to what we see for Brody Retallick. Hang on, USA didn't make the Rugby World Cup. They didn't. Unfortunately, they did end up missing out due to losing to Chile, and then they lost in the repechage. I think in that case, it was Portugal who went through out of the repechage sides. So, yeah, USA not actually in this Rugby World Cup. They are looking to host the next Rugby World Cup, though. Or sorry, not the next one, the one after 2031. It's the next one, I believe, they'll be looking to get. And come on, Chile, says Hamish Wood in there as well. And I've still got the Chile kit as well, so we'll have to try and squeeze into that for their first contest. So was there a consensus that Farrell should get some type of ban except for the one fella? It was. It seemed to be, other than the one fella who said that it was fine, everyone else seemed to say that Owen Farrell should get some sort of ban of some sort. And Canada not in too, says Chris Sero. That is true. So a couple North American sides missing out in this case. And true hectic, my bro. Good to see you here, says Blues Nate. But quickly looking through at the previous fixtures for South Africa, they have just played the 4 games this year, all a part of the Rugby Championship, according to this. But in fact, that's the wrong one. That was not the score in the second Argentina versus South Africa game. That was actually a Rugby World Cup warm-up game. We saw a bit more of a points differential in favour of the South Africans. That is a bit weird that it's decided to do that. We'll go like that. There we go. But hide that. Don't look at that last one. I can't actually put my hand over the top. Can I put a donkey on it? I think I got a donkey somewhere. Don't know why I got a donkey. It didn't want to pop up. But these are the games for South Africa. They were able to win their first game of the Rugby Championship up against the Australians, 43 points to 12. New Zealand getting the victory in that game, which is why that rematch next week is going to be so entertaining. And then also getting that win, 22 points to 21 in the first game. A little bit more of an extent in the winning margin. For the second for Wales, we are looking actually back at their Six Nations as well for some of these results. But their most recent 2 games up against England, their first game they won at 20 points to 9, leaving England tryless in that first encounter. That second one was hard to describe. There were a lot of yellow cards. There were a lot of players off the field at times. I think there was 12 on the field for England at one point, maybe 14 at the same time for Wales, but they were able to just narrowly miss out, 19 points to 17. Nonetheless, I just seen there, Northland won against Tasman, 32 points to 5. That is a massive upset in the Bunnings NPC, although it was raining buckets, which hopefully won't be the case at the Principality for this game, although it is a relatively high likeliness that we do see it. Let's go, says Blues Nate. What a time is the game? Says Alfie, so it is kicking off in only around 10 to 15 minutes time. I believe they're pretty good with timing-wise in Wales, so they'll be out on the field relatively soon, I'd say. And Farrell's whole career under the spotlight now, consistent offender but politically protected, says RJJ. And it's the scenario of a few players have fallen into the same boat as well. Why are they going for risky tackles just before the Rugby World Cup? Because we've already seen Tuala's missing 5 games. We've seen Labaskakne's missing 3 games. It just seems like players aren't thinking enough just before a World Cup. The last thing you want is a 4 or 5 week ban, because or else then you're missing the opening game. Xander Fagerson for Scotland, he's going to be missing the first 1 or 2 games, I believe, of the Rugby World Cup because of that red card that he got in a game not too long ago up against France. I love how New Zealand are more consistent, but as a South African, when we get it right, says Sean, yeah, well, that's the thing. South Africa are one of those sides you can never underestimate. Because even if they seem like they're out of form, it only takes 1 game and they've turned that around completely. Even if it's 1 game, 1 week they look rough, the next week they can look like world champions. And that is the threat of this Rugby World Cup. In the group that they're in, they cannot afford to have too many of those days that they don't look 100%. But if they do look like world champions all throughout, it's going to be a hard side to beat. Great to see the Kiwi lad, says Patricia. Welcome in. If you are keeping very well, only about 12 minutes away from the kickoff for this one. This will be a Bok run. Be prepared for a proper winning result by the Boks, says Johan. And to be honest, I don't think the Boks will accept anything less. Because when you consider the amount of players that have been taken out for Wales just before this game, whether that is Dan Biggar with that huge experience at fly half, losing Liam Williams, which is your under the high ball specialist, alongside a little bit of kicking down the field, and then also losing Cuthbert out on the wing to put Tom Rogers back in, who thought he was having a bit of a spell and only going to be coming off the bench. This is a game that the Springboks, I think they'll want to make a statement, and I don't think they'll want to accept anything less, which is why I believe that they will try and start this match at an extreme pace. They've got the 6-2 split off the bench, so you can get away with a little bit more aggression early on because you know you've got that cover later on in the game. Excited, says JC. And also come on Wales, and fair play on both sides, says Patricia. And South Africa will probably make a statement this game. This coming from an All Black supporter, says William Brown. Yep. And with the lineup that they've gone with a few injuries that we have seen for the Springboks, the injury returner, Sia Khaleesi, first start for RG Snyman, Malcolm Marx trying to prove that he should be the man starting. I know that it sounds weird to say, seeing as so many times in the past Malcolm Marx has been able to step up, but this is a little bit of a different game because they've gone with just the 2 hookers And Umbanambi normally, tactically, they go with him in the start so that Malcolm Marx can finish the game. But if Malcolm Marx starts that well that you just can't deny him that spot, I feel like it's going to make it a little bit trickier for the selectors to work out who they actually want to have in that starting lineup. But I see that the coverage has now picked up here in New Zealand. We're about 10 minutes away from the kickoff now, ladies and gentlemen, but I hope you are all doing very well. It's currently 2:05 a.m. New Zealand time, but we are still up ready to go for this match. And then also after it, Ireland taking on the English, and then France taking on Fiji. Is Kwagga starting? He is not. So for this game, they have got Siya Kolisi at number 6, Peter Steftatoy at number 7, and Jesper Visa will be starting in at number 8. And then off the bench, they've got Mostert, Van Staden, and also Dwayne Vermeulen. So no chance for Kwagga in this game, which is a little bit of a shame, seeing as I feel like he hasn't been playing too badly throughout this year. It's just they're giving other players a chance. I believe he will get a chance in the next game, though. We have got there, with only one number 10 and one number 13 selected in our 33. Why are we selecting Lebok and Kriel too risky, says Joss. It's a good point to make. And the question is, I know that Damien Willems is the easy answer, right? But if they lose Mani Libok to a long-term injury here, who is fly half? Yes, they might look at Faf de Klerk as cover as well. They've still got Damien Willems, but do you think they'll bring in anyone else? What's Mornay up to? Mornay's staying. I know that he's talked about, well, he has retired, but he always comes back for the British and Irish Lions tour. Why not come back for one last World Cup stint for the man at number 10? And RJJ box only win every 12 years, so maybe in 8 years' time, not in 2023, says Chris Theo. Although normally trends are made to be broken, and I feel like that's the thing. It's very hard to predict who is going to win this World Cup, probably harder than any other year that we have seen in rugby. The ink works on Malcolm Marx, man loves his ink. Says Nate, yeah, he has spent a lot of time not just practicing his lineouts, but also in that tattoo parlour, getting absolutely tatted up to the nines. And Willems at 10 backup, says Jason. So then I guess maybe they'll look at, to be honest, they probably could get away with just Willems with the backup of Faf de Klerk, because they've still got Canon Moody, Kurtley Alrinso, who can also cover at that fullback position, as well as Cheslin Colby. So, yeah, I think that they're definitely going to try and work it nicely so that if that did happen, which hopefully, touch wood, that doesn't happen to Mani Libok, because if it does, I'll feel really bad as if we've just jinxed them. No, the AB's almost lost against Australia in the last game as well. Not too consistent. I think any of the 7 or 8 teams can win the World Cup, says Freedom and Truth. Exactly right. And how's Madonna, auntie and my uncle? Hope they're both nice, says Michelle. Yeah, they're both doing very well. Currently asleep, seeing as it is 2:08 a.m. here in New Zealand. But it looks like a decent afternoon at this stage at the Principality Stadium. They've got the stadium open, which means that there is a chance that if it does rain, we could see a little bit of a slippery ball situation. Mornay Stain is a legend, says Sean. And the thing is, even though he's retired, I feel like if he got a call and they're like, Mornay, you got one more World Cup in yet, I feel like he's the type of player to be like, yeah, why not? We'll see how we go. I'll be back up just in case. Wonder what upset Japan is going to make in the Rugby World Cup, says JC. Well, they're in a group with England, Argentina, Samoa, and also Chile. So I would actually say that there are 3 teams that they could almost upset in that group. Samoa would be the least surprising, but yeah, if they can get a win over Argentina or England, I'm sure that they will be very happy with that. We have got their Springboks will win from Monolais, and yeah, they should be able to get themselves over the line here, but I believe Wales will put up a good fight, which is absolutely awesome to see. And I hope that these young players that they've brought in, whether that is Costello, due to the injury of Dan Bigger, whether that is Kai Evans, due to the injury of Luke Williams, or whether that's Rogers who steps up. We've got Elliot D at number 16, or number 2, sorry, due to the injury of Dewey Lake, Tane Basham, or Tane Plumtree, out with injury. There are so many players for Wales, they're starting to lose quite a few just before this World Cup. This is the starting lineup that the sides have gone with just as they make their way out onto the field. It is Domachowski at number 1, Azarati at 3, and then Elliot D smack bang in the middle at number 2. For this game, Ben Carter at 4 with Will Rowlands at number 5, Dan Lydiot at 6, Jack Morgan 7, and Aaron Wainwright slotting in as their number 8. They're just showing Siya Kolisi has just made his way onto the field leading the Springboks. The big injury return. He'll be hoping to have a blinder in this first contest back. Kieran Hardy and Sam Costello, the 19 combination. So a little bit of experience off the bench with Thomas Williams, but no Dan Bigger on the starting side. That was due to a strain during training. And of course, they do not want to risk him just before a Rugby World Cup. In the midfield will be Johnny Williams and Mason Grady. Rio Dyer out on the left. Tom Rogers comes in for the injured Cuthbert. And then Kai Evans at number 15. Looking through at the Springboks starting lineup, Stephen Kitsoff, Malcolm Marx and Franz Malharba, about as good of a front row as you will find in World Rugby today. Jean Klein at number 4, only getting his debut for the Springboks recently in the Rugby Championship. Does now take that number 4 spot in this game rather than Eben Etzebeth. Aji Snyman, his first start of 2023. We did see the sickness news of Ludeaga, which means that number 5 jersey is now wide open. Sia Khaleesi at 6, coming back from the injury. Peter Stiftatoy at 7, always dangerous. Large man to have out there on the park. And Jesper Visa at number 8. Jaden Hendrickse and Mani Lebok, the 9-10 combination. So Hendricks' first game back for the Boks this year. Damien Dealende and Jesse Creel, new midfield combination with the injury of Lucanio Arm. Cheslin Colby out on the left wing for the first time. Cannon Moody out on the right, and Villy LaRue to close out the starting lineup for the Springboks. Now, they have gone with the 6-2 split off the bench, and I believe that that is somewhere where they will have the advantage later on in the game, being able to use that physicality, and alongside that, just having that extra forward could pay dividends for them in this game. JC Kutsia, no, or non-Pacific teams will. Says Chris Seo, and I'm a Bok fan, but after the British and Irish Lions tour, the Boks have never looked like real world champions. That is disappointing as a Bok fan, says Albert. Although the good news is, yes, they've had some would say rougher performances over the last little while, but alongside that, they've still had games where people have thought they've played badly and they've still been able to win them. And I believe that in this World Cup, the Springboks will want nothing less than to be defending champs. We have got there, have you tried live sports commentary on mainstream media? I have not, no. To them, I am just some weird guy who sits in his lounge talking fast. So at this stage, haven't quite made the jump over. Then Japan will beat South Africa again, says Obi. And this Wales team looks less capable than last week. Well, they've ended up with a few injuries more than they would have liked. They did have Dan Bigger, Liam Williams, and Alex Cuthbert all losing their spot on the side due to those injuries. And I hope that it's nothing more serious at this stage for those three. I think it's just strains in the back and the calf. If I'm not wrong, updates on Folau, will he make the World Cup? I haven't actually heard too much about Israel Folau at this stage, although I know that he has been missing quite a bit of game time, which is concerning. But yeah, hopefully it's not too bad. Amish, you are a weird guy talking fast, but you're our weird guy, says Grant there. And we have also got there, have a massive midfield. Or Welsh have a massive midfield in there with Johnny Williams and Mason Grady in this matchup. Missing Jonathan Davis. Can't wait to watch Owen Farrell lift the Rugby World Cup, says Big Fudge. He's just got to make sure that in any of the other games of the World Cup he plays, he doesn't lead with the shoulder. That's the main part of Owen Farrell's game that I like. That's the thing. He's a great player, but he keeps getting himself into trouble. And if he can avoid the trouble, I feel like he definitely has a spot in their Rugby World Cup squad, and a very prominent spot. Just needs to stop going like this. That's the main thing. Tackle straight on. Don't headbutt though. That's the main thing. Some players still got to duck a little bit. That is the end of the Welsh national anthem, ladies and gentlemen, which means we are only moments away from this contest kicking off, the first of 3 games that we will be covering on the channel today. The next one, Ireland versus England, and alongside that, France taking on the Fijians. Nice to see Malcolm Marx start tonight. Yeah, it's going to be interesting for him because at the end of the day, we know what he's capable of. And even if he has an absolute blinder here, they may still look to start Bongi or Manambi during that Rugby World Cup. But I believe up against Scotland and up against the Irish, Malcolm Marx is probably the guy that you want to start just because it gives you that little bit more safety in the starting side, also getting those turnovers early. Hamish isn't weird, says Sean. You obviously haven't been here enough, Sean. You will learn later on tonight. As I get closer and closer to that sleep deprivation stage, can't control my mouth. That sounds dodgy. Owen Farrell to lift a cup of tea, says Blues Nate, and also Box by 5, says Kevin there. And as I'll have any teams needed to change their jerseys for the colourblind. I know that South Africa have actually announced another Rugby World Cup jersey, if I'm not wrong, but it's going to be really weird seeing some of the games because I think we saw one for Argentina in the Springboks, how both of them had to wear their away kits because their home kits didn't clash, but there was some rule that they had to change them just to make it look nice. Massive anthems. Says Mojo, and sorry, I can't watch or wait to watch on Farrell gets stepped into another dimension, says Big Fudge. And I am screening from South Africa. Thanks for your commitment and commentary, says Penelope. No worries at all, but Sia Khaleesi missed 4 tests with an ACL injury. It's actually crazy to think that he's only been out for 4 Springboks games, but when we think about it, that is all the games that they've played for 2023. So last time we saw that man in action was probably the November internationals for last year. But Andrew Brace in charge of this one with the referee's whistle will be the Springboks kicking off from left to right, ladies and gentlemen. But we are about to see an intense encounter once again between the Boks and the Welsh. But the whistle has been blown. Mani Lebok to get us underway. And they do kick off long towards the 22. Wales waiting for this one. Nicely taken by the youngster at number 10, Sam Costello. The last minute change for them, or I guess the last 2-day change because of the injury. A damn big and nice low tackle made by Jesper Wiese and Elliot D. And now looking to roll this one back, it will be, I believe, Kieran Hardy. Now the roof is open, so hopefully no rain will be around at this stage of the match, or later if we can avoid it, but there is a chance that we start to see that rain falling. Willie LaRue goes up for the ball, unable to take it, and it bounces back onto the Welsh side. Now Costello looking to feed it across. Instead does take the contact, and it's nicely picked up by Elliot D. A lot of pressure coming on from the Springboks in the breakdown. Damien De Linde making the next tackle. We have got a donation from Franz Smith. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Now it's going to be nicely taken up again, this time by Corey Domachowski. Almost butchered the name, but we got there in the end. Now rolling it back again for Hardy. Puts it up high. Waiting for this one at the back. It looks like it's going to be Jesper Wiese who considered going up for it. He does end up knocking the ball on. Picked up now by, it's going to be Tom Rogers, another man who was brought into the starting lineup due to an injury. That was off Cuthbert. Nice run forward from Domachowski again. And Wales not doing too badly possession-wise at this stage of the contest. Short run forward from Will Rowlands. Comes in rather than Adam Baird. The ball pops out the side. Little knock on there from Jaden Hendrickson on the ground, although the referee does say play on. And now looking to kick that one. Oh, it's gone beautifully across to Cheslin Colby, who's been bent at an awkward angle, and he was in the air. So because of it, it means the penalty does go the way of the Springboks, and Colby has stayed down with an injury. It was interesting. I thought in that breakdown maybe there was a little knock on from Hendrickson. Then from there, the kick was charged down. It went straight across to Cheslin Colby, who got bent in a weird way. He kind of got bent like he was a banana, but in all the wrong ways. Willie LaRue getting put pressure on him when he was going up for the high ball. Nice work from Tom Rogers to be able to knock it back. Hello from a beautiful Cape Town, says RGC. And also we've got there, and the chat amateur excellent pronunciation of Bok names is appreciated, says Franz. Thank you very much, mate. But Cheslin Colby, he took a nasty knock as he was going down as well. But it looks like he is going to be all right. It's just going to be a penalty here. I believe they're saying they don't need to go upstairs and have any more of a look at that one. Just got to make sure he's getting the timing right there, Tom Rogers. But his 4th Welsh cap, all starting. So he was going to be coming off the bench for this game rather than getting the start. How to make a donation. I want to donate, says Sean. So I believe it depends on if you're on computer or PC or phone, but there should be at the bottom of the chat, I think there's a little $sign, a little tiny one in the bottom right. Maybe. Is that correct, ladies and gentlemen? It's funny. I do YouTube, but I don't know how it works. I luckily go live and it works most of the time. Now, kicking downfield with the Springboks. I used to watch G-Man all the time, miss that guy, RIP, says over. Yeah, and it was the news that hit the rugby world a little while ago that I don't think anyone saw coming, and it kind of, yeah, it was a rough one to hear overall for G-Man. He loved his Springboks, of course, to cover that Rugby World Cup final in 2019 where the Boks were victorious over England. Malcolm Marks, successful line-out throw, and now they do look to try and get this rolling ball going forward. As Arati looking at the referee saying, am I still allowed to be here? The ref says, yeah, might as well. Now Jean Klein trying to pump forward alongside Franz Malaharba. Jaden Hendrickson gets the ball out the back of the rolling ball. Now Lebok looks to shift it to the right-hand side. Running onto that now nicely was Villiers Leroux. Now Callum Moody going to back himself with a corner, but he's dragged down by Kai Evans. Is that Kai Evans? He's had a right haircut since the picture I see of him was taken. Now a big run for RG Snyman. Bump to the side. Pick and go from Peter Steftatoi. And the box looking to use this one in the breakdown quickly and efficiently. Keeping the ball moving. It's going to be a draw, says Yetta. Tell them to just click on the super chat. It will let them make a donation, says Chronic there. Now to the left-hand side. Mani Lebok has to play scrum half, which is surprising seeing as there are 4 already in the World Cup squad. Now Villiers Leroux off to Sia Khaleesi, finds the offload to Malcolm Marks, and that'll be the first try of the match for the Springboks. 4 minutes in, and already Marks gets himself the first try. Now he is very closely catching up to the most South African tries scored by a forward. I believe the record is 17. He currently sits on 16, but Malcolm Marks, the opening try scorer for the Springboks in this game. To be honest, I don't think people would have predicted Marks to score the first try in open play rather than the rolling maul. But in this case, it works well for them. Sia Khaleesi finding the offload away out wide. And in the end, just caught a little bit too far off the wing was Aaron Wainwright, not able to drag him down in time. Full marks, says JJ there. But brilliant work from Sia Khaleesi. First game back and already has a try assist to his name. When Malcolm Marks is that close to the try line, it's not easy to stop him. Okay, they're looking strong. Says dear, says Kevin. And go the box, says Xanthi. Now, the kicking, it will be Mani Lebok in charge of it for this contest. Long day in the office for the Welsh, says Alfie. Yeah, more than likely. I mentioned about it in the warm-up or in the build-up to this game that if they were able to keep this one relatively close, it would be extremely impressive. But more than likely, it's going to be a Springbok just scoring spree, I guess. That's missed from Mani Lebok. Oh, away to the right-hand side. We have got there, man, the comms is in French. So watching game on mute while you're talking, says Hensel. And nice hands from Captain Khaleesi, confidence booster for sure. On the comeback tour, says Cited. Yeah, they mentioned that he hasn't been playing for the last 4 games for Sia Khaleesi. Hasn't been in action since November last year. Didn't look too bad in that first little stint. Now it's kicked high. Nicely taken by RG Snyman, just inside of the Springboks 22. Already 6 minutes through this game. I feel like it is going to be flying by for the 80 minutes. Hello, friend, says Byron. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are doing very well. And try first time in the opposition half and converted into points. The Boks putting their hands up, says Mojo. It's going to be kicked into touch by Wales. Just having to clear that one. Couldn't get a huge amount of distance, but about 40 metres out from the line now. The Springboks will have themselves another line out. Welsh fans are actually delusional, just like Arsenal fans, says Chronic. Although I don't think I've seen too many Welsh fans in this game saying that it is going to be a close game. I think that they're looking at this game as a big builder for heading towards that Rugby World Cup. It's their last warm-up game before they have to play Fiji in the opening round. Nice bouncing tackle for Johnny Williams. Does manage to keep on running for a bit longer. Elliot D dragged down 38 metres out from the line now for Wales. Around the side of the breakdown, Rogers. In fact, it was Dye, and it is going to be an offside advantage against the Springboks now. Another run from Johnny Williams. Advantage offside number 7, that is Peter Steftatoi, and they are now going back for the penalty. Look at all those tattoos on Marks. Imagine the hours of ink and days. Says Blues Nate, and we are rooting for you, Springboks. It looks like they want to take on the 3 points here. Wales, they are only down by 5, but this will be their first scoring opportunity of the contest. Sam Costello does have the kicking tee today, but we're seeing some big shots coming in from both of these sides already. I mentioned in all the warm-up games we have seen for the Rugby World Cup, we've normally seen 1 injury per team per game. Cheslin Colby was a little bit hurt earlier on. It looks like he is going to be all right, though. Just got a bit of a stinger on the hip. Hopefully, if there is an injury in this game, it is nothing too serious. Box love this ref. You can see fans having a good day with him holding the whistle, says Hensel in there as well. But now 30 seconds for Sam Costello to line up his first kick of the day. Was initially going to be Dan Bigger at 10, but due to a calf strain, they did have to make that change. Let's see if 4 scrum halves for the World Cup pays off. Says Doe. And yeah, it's going to be interesting because theoretically, the team will be confirmed on around early September, and they might look to make a change depending on whether or not the tactic is still to go with so many of those scrum halves. But the kick is good from Costello, and that will now make the score 3 points to 5 in favour of the away side. This is a great game for South Africa to warm up, but some of the Northern Hemisphere teams are killing themselves before a ball is kicked in the World Cup with the amount of teams they are playing, says Kevin. Although, to be fair to them, it's just unfortunate that it's all been squeezed into such a short time period, because you look at, let's say, for instance, maybe Wales, like they're going to play 3 games, whereas South Africa, this is their 5th contest before the Rugby World Cup, and they will actually be playing 6 games, including their one up against the All Blacks. So playing double the games are the teams in the Southern Hemisphere. It's just the fact that they're playing them over a little bit of a wider stint of time rather than all smack bang week after the other. Now rolling it back, Hardy inside of his 22. Almost partially charged down by RG Snyman, who's hit him really hard as he came through. Nicely taken by Rio Dyer under the high ball. Low tackle on him by Hendrickse. Willie LaRue asked for the ball. He says it was out. He's not happy with the referee, but it's still behind the hindmost foot. Said there will be changes. It's mind games, I think, says Hensel. And also, kid's got potential at 10, says Blues Nate, and I miss Nigel Owens, says Sean. Although the problem would be with Nigel Owens at the World Cup is everyone would want him to referee every game, and he just wouldn't quite be able to with the heavy schedule that they've got. So I feel like it would be a bit of a lottery of who gets him and who misses out in that regard. That's why I love that South Africa test quite a few players, and we as supporters saw who we want, says Dale. And I should mention, decent performance from, it was actually Jean-Luc Dupré for the Barbarians. So I feel like if there was some sort of injury that does arise, they now know that he is a good option that they could use for lock or loose forward. Managed to get himself a try. Also could have had 2, but he missed out due to the referees not checking his grounding. It's going to be a kicked high from Hardy, 40 metres out from the back line. Slapped back by Wales, but it will end up sitting up for better. Steph Tutoy was the tallest of the bunch who were jumping for it. Hendrickse looks to put it into touch. Was it taken back? No, they say that it is going to be all right. So that will now be Wales. No, now they are going back, as it was taken into the 22. I thought I spotted it. Box coach in one interview let slip Pollard was ready to go, says Mojo. Well, that's the thing. I think Pollard is one player that a lot of people are expecting to see make his way into that Rugby World Cup squad. It's just that question of who's going to be out for him to come back in. True, it's the quality of the sides asking for injuries, says Kevin. Now 11 minutes in to this contest, Wales with their first real attack inside of the 22 of the Springboks, thrown in by Elliot D, and nicely taken at the front by Wainwright. Rolling round, Jean Klein joins in at the back, so he will try and stop this one from coming out on the Welsh side, although they have been able to slowly skew with him to the side. Looks like this ball will be relatively tricky to get out, though, definitely with RG Snyman and Jesper Visser both amongst the action. It looks like it's pretty well stuck currently, and I'm not seeing a ball, which means more than likely this one is going to be a Springbok scrum. Yes, it is. I'm not too sure who managed to get their hands on the ball there. Maybe Peter Steph the Toy, but there was no way that it was coming out. A good maul defence, says Hensel. And there, and also box coach in one interview. Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Well, Jean Klein keeping connected to that rolling maul. Oh, it's kits off. The spicy plum in. Getting that turnover for the box. Pollard is good, says Hensel, or good to go. Well, that's the thing. He's going to be a player that I believe they'll get rid of probably one of their halfbacks for. So I wouldn't be surprised in the game next week if we see Faf de Klerk and Kobus Reinach both get their chance. And then whoever's the halfback that's the least in form will probably be the man that they miss out. And Lebok didn't get the magic juice to kick the conversion, says Yako. He did miss, although it was a relatively tricky one. He was just a little bit to the side, out to the right. Andrew Brace just giving a little bit of a warning to the two sides in the front row. They will drop a 9, says Hensel. So I guess the question is, who do you guys think will be the 9 that is dropped in that case? But we've got the referee cam on Andrew Brace, something that we've seen used for the rugby games recently. Also seems like he might make it. I think Lukanyuam's a bit more of a question mark, to be honest. There will be a free kick to the box. Bit of pre-engaging from Wales. And by the looks of it, the Springboks, they will look to just kick this one downfield into touch. Williams says Hensel there. Oh, so you think they'll get rid of Grant Williams? Although I guess Hendricks is a bit of a tricky one, isn't he? Because he has only played this game. So maybe they will play him next week as well and rest Faf de Klerk, go with Hendricks and Reinach, and then see out of those two who really steps up. It might be a bit of an eliminator of some sort. And go to the box. Thank you, Amy, says Bert. Do appreciate you being here, mate. Now, nice run forward. Oh, that's a drop ball from Johnny Williams. I think he's saying that he was tackled a bit early, but he did just drop it. Now, they will go back for the original scrum now for the box. 40 metres out from their own line. I would not, but think they will, says Hensel. And we'll see if a kicker be the Achilles heel at this Rugby World Cup. It has been a talking point for them, unfortunately. And, I mean, the thing is, when Mane Leboc's in form, he's pretty decent with his kicking, but when he's not in form, it just doesn't seem to quite go right for him. He reminds me a little bit of Beauden Barrett for the All Blacks a few years ago. How he was playing great rugby on the field, but it was when they gave him the kicking tee, it just didn't quite work for him. But hopefully Leboc will be able to step up if they don't have Pollard, because, yeah, those three-pointers could be crucial, and even the conversions could be very useful as well. We have got Leboc got stage fright in the first rounds. Let's see if Western Province URC Heroics kicks through. Says Dow there, and Leboc missed 2 conversions last week. Let's hope he does not have a repeat performance today, says Penelope, but a great scrum from the Springboks. They now have the penalty advantage going to the left. Vili LaRue goes off to Jesse Creel. He's got Colby on his outside, who now receives the ball for the first time out on their left wing, stepping round about 4 Welshmen, but now he's going to be taken down by Tom Rogers. A brilliant run from Cheslin Colby. Cross kick from Mane Leboc. Tried to find Cannon Moody, but it goes into the hands of Rio Dyer, who was able to take the mark. And they will now look to clear it from their own 22. But nice bit of work there from South Africa, applying that pressure, throwing different looks at Wales early on in this game. That kick has not found touch. The Mane Leboc goes across to Vili LaRue again. They have got plenty of numbers on the left-hand side, but instead, Dealindi decides to run it forward. If he had found an offload there, it could have been extremely dangerous. Hendrickson has now seen the overlap that they have got on this left-hand side. Sia Khaleesi, another touch for him, tackled by Mason Grady. Leboc goes across to Kitsoff. Couple Stormers representatives in the URC working together. Hendrickson again goes back to Leboc. It's going to be the knock-on from Malcolm Marks. That's something you don't see every day from that man. We need Pollard. Money is useless. Tears happen beast. Sia looks hungry and good, says Enzo, and hope Reinach doesn't get dropped, being knocking down the door more than once. Says Dow, and how's Sia looking like today? He's already got a try assist and a decent run just before. So I'd say he's looking pretty good for just returning from the injury, and hopefully he does continue that way throughout the rest of the Rugby World Cup warm-up games. Next week, South Africa, they will be taking on the All Blacks at 6:30am New Zealand time. We will be covering that one on the channel live from Twickenham. Although we will not be at Twickenham, we will be in our lounge once again, but we have the green screen so that it looks like we're at Twickenham, and this looks like that is Cheslin Colby done. It's going to be the end of his night, only 16. Oh no, he's going over to the huddle. He's all right, sorry, my apologies. I thought that looked like they were taking him off the field, saying that he's done enough, but he did take an early knock. He looked pretty good with the stepping there though. Mate, greetings from the Grenadines. He's Caribbean, says Tom there, and they can use Grant on the wing. Very true, and I believe that is what they may even look to do here. If Hendricks is looking match fit, they might decide to give Grant Williams a little bit of a crack out wide, but they're just showing that Khaleesi offload to Malcolm Marks, who was the first try scorer for the Springboks. From there, we saw Sam Costello get himself the conversion, the penalty over. And a bit scrappy from both sides, says Birdie V. Yeah, we've seen a few handling errors early on. It actually looks like the sun might be coming out in Wales, which is absolutely fantastic. I know that someone mentioned earlier on the weather did look that little bit shaky. So yeah, hopefully that isn't going to be the case for later on in this game. And I was up all night watching the Bulldogs and the Pirates, ARL on TV. I can see those games live here. Says Robert. I have to say, we've got a very weird sleeping schedule for today. I've got 3 games of overnight rugby. Then I believe the next time I'm sleeping is in about 21 hours time, somewhere around there, maybe even a bit later depending on editing and everything along those lines. So anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Plenty more videos coming out in the near future. Nicely fed in there by Hardy. Ball comes out the back, although the Springboks able to apply maximum pressure in that scrum, driven backwards, not happy about that one, Corey Damachowski, and now the Springboks have the opportunity of being able to get themselves 3 more points. Was it a maul try? It actually wasn't, which I think surprised a few people for the fact that Malcolm Marx was the try scorer. Are there any videos on people not going to the Barbie movie on YouTube? Are there any videos of people or on people not going to the Barbie movie? I couldn't tell you. I haven't really read too much on it. Wasn't there another movie that came out at the same time? Oppenheimer? Something like that. Oppenheimer? Not Optimize It. There was something that came out at around the same time that people were talking about as well. I haven't actually seen either of them at this stage. Marnie Libok. Oppenheimer. What did I say the first time? Was it close? Oppenheimer, I think I said, wasn't it? Almost had it. Now, 15 seconds remaining for his kick. Taking his time, making sure. Oh no, he shanked it again. It's gone out to the right-hand side, and that is now 2 missed chances for Marnie Libok. And I from New Zealand go South Africa. Says Melu there, and it's a good movie. Says Happen Beast. And about creation of the atomic bomb, says Kevin Gees. So I feel like that's a very different movie to Barbie, isn't it? In terms of the overall storyline. Now it's going to be kicked high for the 22 dropout, close to the touchline. Cannon Moody, good shot coming in on him by Johnny Williams. Bit of a counter-ruck there from Wales, and it has been sealed off by the Springboks for losing their footing. Oh, Peter Steph-Toy looking to fight someone. He almost ended up having a punch-up with the ref. That would have looked quite cool on the ref cam. He was looking for a player to scrap with, and he got pushed from one side, turned around, and almost grabbed the ref by the collar. He's going to cost us the World Cup, says Happen Beast for Lebok. And also we have got there, no man, Lebok. It's nicely kicked to the corner, though, by Wales. In fact, no, he didn't get a huge amount of distance on it. Or not the angle, anyway. It's going to be about 30 metres out from line, because South Africa could have had 10 now. They could have, yep. So they could have been ahead by 7 at this point. Yep, Peter Steph-Toy bumped out of that breakdown. Wasn't too happy about it. Hardy goes across now to Costello. Short ball, Johnny Williams. A little bit loose in the hands of Mason Grady, but does manage to hang on to it. Another penalty goes against the Springboks this time for not rolling away. And they might be able to take on another 3 points. Get themselves a lead for the first time in this game. This guy is special, says Hensel. You'd also name your favourite stadium. Where would you like to watch footy? Oh, I mean, of course, like all of the main stadiums would be awesome, like Twickenham, Principality, the Aviva. In South Africa, I'd love to watch a game at Cape Town Stadium, or actually Loftus would be quite cool as well. Even like Eden Park. I've never watched a game of rugby at Eden Park. In fact, I've never watched a game of rugby at Forsyth Bar Stadium. I think I've only watched one game of rugby, like professional rugby live in my life. And that was when I was about 7, which sounds weird because I do YouTube now, or talking just about rugby. Oh, and other sports. So who scored the try? It was Malcolm Marx, who managed to get himself the first try of the contest. I don't yet see his name. Is he on the field? He is. He got himself the first try assist and also had a good run just before. That is going to be going over. And nicely done by Costello, making the score now 6 points to 5. But yeah, Khaleesi having a decent start. Probably the pick of the loose forwards at this point. Ahead of Peter Steph-Toy, who has been penalised a little bit. And then also Jasper Vezo, who we've seen one big hit from. And Mark's my boy says Rebel. And MCG is awesome. I have watched cricket at the MCG, and that was pretty awesome. Now, Marnie Libok to kick this one off again. Currently down by 1, the Springboks, after the first 20 minutes. Nicely taken there by Will Rowland. I have to say, after the way that the Springboks started this match, it is a little bit surprising that the score is sitting the way that it is. Although we've got to remember, with those missed kicks, it means that it could have been 10 points to 6 as the game currently sits. But Kieran Hardy puts the ball high from just inside of his 22. Down towards the halfway line, Vili LaRue taking it nicely. Peter Steph-Toy joining the breakdown alongside Jesper Visa to keep it on the side of the box. Rush defence there from Elliot Dean may have been a little bit offside. and may have also hurt himself in the process. Nice big run from RG Snyman. Finds the offload on the inside to Hendrickse. Off to Malcolm Marx again, who's 22 metres out. Thought about the offload. Took the risk. Peter Steftatoy able to jump on that one, so keeping it on his side. Now Vesa, all he needs to do is shift this one out to the left, and it could be try time for the Springboks once again. Mani Libbok off the kits off. Nice run forward. Hendrickse going across to Jesper Vesa, but Marx is having an absolutely brilliant performance so far, minus that knock on. Libbok with the flat pass to Willie le Roux, cut out pass to Cannon Moody, steps on the inside, scores the try. They may just check that Willie le Roux pass, but if it is good, that will be the second try of the match for the Springboks. I think Willemse can kick better than Libbok. Do you agree, says Mervilli? I actually think that, in fact, I don't know why they took away Damien Willemse from the kicking tee so quickly, because he's normally not too bad overall, but they decided instead to go with Mani Libbok. It was a brilliant run there from R.D. Snyman, and then Malcolm Marx, great carry forward over the top of Johnny Williams. Why do you not see a pregnant Barbie, says Paul? Well, I don't see a Barbie in general. Oh, they're talking about the pass from Hendrickse. Now, that one from Libbok to Willie le Roux looked all right, so I think that this might be all right. And Snyman, the catalyst for the try, rampaging run. And yeah, his first start at number 5, so he'll certainly be looking to have a big impact throughout this game. A nice step from Cannon Moody. Will it at least be easier conversion? It's still relatively tricky, but should be easy enough for Mani Libbok. We'll say that anyway. Should be over. We have got there too many tackle busts. And not recovering quick enough, says Fiji Islander. And yes, he just missed a couple of kicks and then gave the kicking tee to Cheslin Colby. Although I think it is still Libbok. Yes, it is. And that time he's got the one over. He's got a little bit of a right to left curl that does develop. So maybe those first two didn't quite curl as much as they were expecting. But Willie le Roux, nice cutout pass to Cannon Moody. After that last game up against Argentina, I think really cemented himself as one of those Rugby World Cup squad spots. Now 12 points to 6, Springboks taking the lead back. Costello kicks high, nicely taken by R.G. Snyman. We did see Rio Dyer taken out though. Bit of obstruction that is going to be against, I think, Malcolm Marx, by the looks of it. Now, in fact, it's R.G. Snyman who has been penalised. So that's something that the Springboks are doing a little bit too often in this game, I feel, is just giving away silly penalties. Wales are once again going to take on the 3 points. That will get them back within the 5. But 5 penalties against South Africa at the moment. Bok haters after that try still say Boks are boring, says Albert, and great passing, says Horatio. South Africa always played with a reliable goal kicker. It's mind-blowing to not have one in the team now, says Freedom and Truth. Yeah, it's going to be tricky, but if Mani Libbok can get it right, I feel like he's more than capable. It's just whether or not he's got the ability or he's got the mentality to get it right, I guess, for him, because it seems to be a little bit more in his head than anything at the moment. Now Sam Costello lining up this kick. Do you think Scotland will beat South Africa in the Rugby World Cup? It's very hard to tell at this stage based on the fact that we don't really know who they're going to be going with in their teams. Could be a completely different looking side for both lineups, but that kick from Costello, once again, very good. And I feel like this goal kicking from the youngster at the moment is helping confirm maybe his spot in this Welsh Rugby World Cup team. They haven't quite announced it yet due to those injuries. You only need to make one kick, chaps, and that's the one that wins the game, says Mojo. And also, all our kickers had bad starts in their first few games. Monet, Perse, Franz, just nerves. Is also very young, like Franz Stein said. And bro, South Africa, come on, WTF. Says Happen B. So yeah, now the score's sitting 9 points to 12. Deep inside of Wales territory. Nice run forward from Aaron Wainwright. Actually tried to almost hurdle over the tackle attempt of Cannon Moody. Ball is safe just for now for Wales, although we will see, of course, the Springboks putting on the pressure in the breakdowns to try and get that turnover. Looks like at this stage, Jaden Hendrickse just misses out. But Willemse can also be a reliable kicker. Remember, he won the game for us against Wales last year, says Mervilli. Yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't decided to give Willemse a kicking tee chance rather than going back to Cheslin Colby or maybe Faf de Klerk. LaRue's passing is one of his best attributes. That's going to be knocked on by the Springboks, and it's back in the hands of Wales with a bit of space on the outside. Johnny Williams cut out pass now to the man at number 15 for this game, Kai Evans. The Springboks, they are reeling, trying to get back in time. Nice work from Kai Evans, though, to feed the ball back to Kieran Hardy. Now Will Rowlands taken down low. Hendrickse looking to get the turnover, but it is still on the side of the home side at Principality. Peter Steftoy makes the tackle. Malcolm Marks gets over the ball and wins the penalty for the Springboks. That was great work from Peter Steftoy because he just had to get out of that breakdown in time. Willie le Roux complaining that the ball has been tossed away, unlike when he tossed it away about 10 minutes ago. He was very quiet then. And how the heck does South Africa go to the World Cup with no kicker, says Rudy. And how you going, bud? Brian going and Beer Port, ready for this game. Says Chalabi, doing very well. We've got plenty of international rugby taking place in the near future. We've got the game between Wales and Fiji at 7:05 a.m. New Zealand time. And then before that, it is Ireland versus England taking place just that little bit sooner. Mani Libok taking that one. Not finding touch with the kick from Wales. Sia Khaleesi, big run forward, straight at Dal Michalski. That is definitely going to test him out after having that ACL tear. Now Peter Steftoy offloads on the inside to Damien Delindi. Tackled low by Elliot D. Tries to get back up to his feet. Did knock it on, I thought. But they're going to say play on just for now. Frans Malaharba. Now Hendrickse going off to the left-hand side. Willie le Roux short ball and Malcolm Marks. He's had a sensational start to this contest. Hendrickse to Willie le Roux. Cut out past to Cheslin Colby. There's space on the outside now. He's going to be a hard man to stop, but brilliant work from Tom Rogers to be able to shut him down early. Hendrickse back across to Kitsoff. Who won the Barbars game against Samoa was the Samoans. Walked away with the victory. The lowest amount of points scored by a Barbarian side since 2017. With 14, penalty goes the way of the Springboks. For the player leaving his feet, Jaden Hendrickse takes the quick tap, sees the space on the left-hand side, kits off now, couldn't quite find that pass away to Kolisi, but finds the offload up to Malcolm Marks, who offloads now to Hendrickse. Snyman offloading again to Frans Malaharba. Now, I don't think that man's going to be offloading. Instead, does take it to ground. Jesper Wiese, straightening run. 28 minutes in, and Wales once again having to defend just out from their own try line. Malcolm Marks for about his 7th carry in this first half. Jesper Wiese around the side, tackled by Hardy, and that is going to be a loose ball carry from Wiese. Wales end up with it, and now kicking it downfield. Willie le Roux trying to cover it. Will roll into touch though, and fantastic kick to clear their lines there for Wales. We do have enough kickers, but Neighbour just don't see the player's potential. And also we have the South African, says Mon Wabisi. Hopefully I've said that correctly. And hello Hamish. Pleased to see me, says Crumpus. That depends on what your topics are today, Crumpus, of course. Nah, it's all right. It's good to see you again, mate. It's going to be interesting on the next live stream, though. England versus Ireland. I feel like that could get quite heated, couldn't it? Is Lebok not going to be 10 for us, says Adam? I believe he is. But a lot of people are questioning that kicking game of Mani Libok. I'd like to think that by the World Cup, though, he will be all right. You know, a couple more games under his belt. He's doing decently in the field, which is the big difference, I think, compared to some out-of-form fly halves who are missing kicks. Like, he is still able to do quite nicely in terms of those cross kicks, those cut-out passes. It looks like there was a knock-on there from Kai Evans. Now, it is going to be knocked down by Green first, I've said. So it is actually a scrum penalty to Wales. We have got there, it's going to be a great World Cup. Good luck to all teams, especially if you're wearing black, says Mojo. And also we have got there Black Cat struggling against UAE, 58 for 4. I forgot that series was on, to be honest. Nice run forward from Kai Evans originally, but just couldn't quite get that next pass away. But he did well initially to actually keep that ball in the field of play as well, close to toe in the line and box. We wearing a permanent or peppermint crisp shirt. Very upset for them not going to wear the green and gold, says Eben. Yeah, it's a bit strange with some of the colour selections, I'd say, for both of the teams, because the likes of that game between Argentina and South Africa could have wore their home kit, same with Argentina, and it would have been fine with the colour scheme. But they had to both wear their alternative kits because the Springboks were away from home, so they weren't allowed their home kit or something along those lines, or maybe it was to do with the colourblind side of things. The 10 don't need to kick. If you can't kick, we just start a kicker at 12 or 15. Just need a 10 who can read the game, says Mervilli. And at the moment, I think Marnie Libbok is certainly proving that he can. He's played well for the Stormers throughout the URC. I believe that him at 10 and Damien Valimza at 15, rather than Valimza being fly half, is the better option. Willie LaRue has shown this year that he is more than capable of stepping up to that 15 jersey. Now 31 minutes through the contest. Still only 3 points difference between these two sides. And the ball about to be fed in by Kieran Hardy. A little bit of a pre-engage from South Africa. And the referee says we will have to do that again. Scrums, they have been a one-horse race. South Africa getting themselves penalties thick and fast. It looks like Andrew Brace just going to have a bit of a conversation here with Elliot D and Malcolm Marks about the way that they're engaging. We have to get the setup right, control your weight. Bit rough to say to a front row. I'm sure they've been living good, eating plenty of food before the game. Libbok's place kicking tends to improve during the game, says Byron. I would start for Limser at 12, says Mervilli. Although I know that a lot of people are making the argument for maybe Andre Esterhuizen as a decent option as that number 12 for the Springboks. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing Andre Esterhuizen get that chance, mainly because I feel like Damien Dialende, yes, he's a fantastic player and he works extremely well with Lukanyoan, but I feel like Andre Esterhuizen at the moment, based off form, may be the better pick. That will be the penalty to the Springboks. Again, every scrum at the moment is leading to the South Africans getting the better of it. We have got there, hey there Hamish, I'm back. Had a break, still another hour or so to go. Nice close game, good score. Wales closer now, says Ruth. Yeah, there's plenty more rugby action happening. Not just this weekend, but also next weekend. We will be looking through at those fixtures at halftime, ladies and gentlemen. The next game that we are covering, it is at 4:30 a.m. New Zealand time, which will be starting in about an hour and 40 minutes time, and that will be between Ireland and England. So it should be a very awesome game. But yeah, on the front row side of things, Azarati's really struggling with kits off. 700 reasons I'd agree. Ireland versus England might be a bit blighty, says Colm there. 2 scrum penalties so far against Wales. Also, that is not including the penalty advantage that went in favour of the Springboks as well. But Malcolm Marks, 22 metres out from the line. And nicely to the front to Jean Klein. Waiting for it, and now the Springboks start their rolling maul again. Although I see that knees are down at the moment. I'm not sure whether or not he was the man with the ball. He wasn't, because Khaleesi's bumped off the side, breaking through one tackle, and Rio Dyer does manage to stop him. Now Malcolm Marks gets within the 5 metres. Hendrickse going across to RG Snyman. In fact, it was Peter Stefter Toy there. If it was RG Snyman, we might have seen, oh, what a kick from Willie LaRue, but it slapped out of the hands of Canon Moody. I was going to say, if it was possibly Willie LaRue, he's yelling at the referee, Willie, get out of it. They'll look at it anyway. That's one thing you cannot afford to do. You can't let that temper get the better. Khaleesi's come over, he's gone, I'm the captain. And Andrew Brace says, I know, but I'm still checking upstairs anyway. No sleep on the weekends for you, says Robert. Yeah, it's really weird, the weekends. We got up early on Saturday morning. We actually slept for about 4 hours before this live stream. And then we've got a 22 hours from now day left. In fact, it might be longer, depending on the video editing process. Why not give Arinsa a run at 15? He's certainly an option that they may look at if there were injuries. Chislin Colby, another player that they may actually look at as a chance. So it was in the hands of Canon Moody. Then Rio Dyer slaps it out of his hands. The thing is, with it hitting the hands of Canon Moody first, does that count as cynical? They're saying you can't deliberately knock the ball into touch. But this is whether or not Canon Moody's already lost the ball at that stage. And I believe they'll call this maybe as a knock-on against Canon Moody. Or they just want to check whether or not the probable try would be scored. This might end up being a penalty try here. It's a bit of a weird one because, yeah, I don't know if Canon Moody was going to be catching that ball because I think it was a knock-on by him initially. So I think he knocks it on. Yes. Oh, but he may have regathered actually. He may have been able to regather that ball. This is going to be a big decision in this game. Yeah, that's 10 minutes in the sin bin and a penalty try. Says Shack of Hearts. They're trying to determine whether or not it came off a green hand first, because if it did, I believe they'll actually count that as a knock-on. But if it didn't come off a green hand first, it's going to end up... So green touches the ball first. So it goes forward off Kanamuti's left hand. Then Rio Dyer slaps it into touch. I think they're more in favour of a knock-on here. It's come off green. Yeah, Andrew Brace has just said that to his touch judge. So they're just trying to work out what exactly their ruling will be for this one. And I don't worry about the score. You are a winner, says Kelvin. And Khaleesi just picked up from where he left off before getting injured, says Fiji Islander. And I think that is brilliant news for him because a lot of people were questioning whether or not he was going to have a spot in the starting lineup. But it's great to see that he's already got himself a try assist. Also being able to build up some nice runs as well. So Kanamuti, theoretically, he has knocked it on, but then if it wasn't for Rio Dyer's other hand, I believe Kanamuti may have almost been able to regather. WTF is this? If I want to listen to the game, I could have turned on the radio. We want to see the game, says Rudy. Well, you will have to pay for Supersport like everyone else, Rudy, because unfortunately YouTube would kick me in the face if I was to show any match footage. Maybe you can find a radio somewhere. That would be a good idea. South Africa has already lost the ball before Dyer touched it, says Hershey. So yeah, I think this is going to be ruled as a knock-on against Kanamuti, but it's certainly one that will split opinions, I would say. You can't show the game, says No Mum. Yeah, Rudy, says Grumpus. Okay, it's taken too long for them to make a decision, I think. They needed to make sure it was short, snappy. They've seen it about 15 times. It's deliberately slapped out by 11 red. They've said that Moody had a good chance of being able to regather if he hadn't knocked the ball on. So now it does end up being a penalty try, a yellow card for Rio Dyer. And now South Africa, they will be leading 19 points to 9. South Africa just need to smooth things out, says Rudy there. And also we have got there, can we just make a decision? Yeah, that one took too long, I think. They looked at it quite a few times. And that is ridiculous, says Fiji Island. And South Africa, says Henry. And well, penalty try, says Cited and BS, says Chris Seo. Yeah, I think that one, like I said, it will certainly split opinions. But Rio Dyer now going to be off the field for the 10 minutes. And the ball went straight through his hands. What a stupid call, says Hershey. And fair call, says Mojo. But he's got 3 dots afterwards. So is it fair call but not, or fair call but yeah? And also, let's go to the box, let's go, says Amori there. Much too long, says Rudy. Yeah, they've talked about trying to speed up the game. So I believe that is something they cannot afford to have during the Rugby World Cup, is about 3 or 4 minutes looking at a decision. But nicely taken by RG Snyman. Now South Africa about 25 metres out from their line with Peter Stiftatoy hitting it up again. Only 6 minutes remaining in this first half now. Going to be rolled back by Jaden Hendrickse. That's harsh, says Albert. And I think could go both ways. South Africa always get the rub of the green from refs, says Sam. Oh no, don't start that. We're going to end up with a well and truly comment battle going on. Nice backline here from the box though. And Damien Dialendi looks for the kick in behind. Jeslyn Colby having a chase it, nicely taken there. I don't know what that offload is. He's just had an absolute brain fart. And it's going to be the try for Jesse Creel. Who was that? Mason Grady decided to flick the ball up inside of his own in-goal area and said someone can have it. And then from there, it was nicely taken by Jesse Creel, who's been gifted his first try of 2023. And now the scoreline in the last little while, it doesn't quite look the same as it did. 24 points to 9. It's gone that quickly that even the scoreboard hasn't been able to update in time. But that was just a brain fade from the number 13. He was under pressure. He would have been much better off just allowing the ball to hit the ground, having the 5 metre scrum, and trying to get rid of the ball. Jesse Creel said, yep, cheers for that. And puts the ball down, scores the try. And also we have got to the Welsh 14, just throw the ball forward out of the goal zone, says Fiji. And also we have got their field goal consistent with recent games. And Mason Grady says, Rob, and well, he has a brain explosion. I think if Mason Grady had his time again, he'd take the tackle, says it was Shaq. Are they still broadcasting rugby over the radio? I don't know any guys that still have a radio at home, says Evan. I'm not too sure. I feel like in a way, even though I guess it's not as professional as the radio commentary, like this has probably become a little bit more like the radio style, except it's got that interactive side of things, which I actually love a lot more than the radio side. Marnie Lebok, he once again just shanks it a little bit. to the left-hand side. So that is 3 missed kicks out of the 4 attempted. Score now 24 points to 9. The scoreboard doesn't know what's happened. It's confused. Doesn't know why Grady threw that ball away. And hey, what's the score on the time on again? Just joined, says Natasha. So it is currently sitting 36 minutes into this game, and it is now 24 points to 9 in favour of the Springboks. And close misses from the Bok. Radar not calibrated yet. Says so. I guess the good news for him is they have been close misses, so he won't be completely disappointed with it, I wouldn't think. It's just, of course, you'd love to get those points over. And Hamish, you are rocking this match, kicking it out of the park. And if it's like the Bok don't care to get the kicks over, says, well, I'm sure that's not the case. I think he's just not quite striking them the way that he'd like. I mentioned about how he gets that little bit of right to left on it. So the first couple went too wide to the right, and then he brought it back too much for that one. But he is still trying to adjust it. Kick downfield from the box from inside of their 22. Now Wales being a whole heap of points down. 24 points to 9 here. 15 points difference going into halftime with only 3 minutes remaining. And a man disadvantage. Amani will be good with the kicks. Just setting aim up for the World Cup, I hope, says Hensel. So we've got a little bit of a stoppage here due to an injury. It's the last thing that Wales want at this stage is losing another player due to injury. We saw Dewey Lake, also Tame Plumtree. Update your scoreboard, please. Unfortunately, I have no control over the scoreboard. I'm at the mercy of the online one, and hopefully it does update relatively soon. WTF, does Lebok even practice kicking? Says Alfie. And we have also got there, the Welsh are not coping well with box strength, says Yvonne. Although I'd say throughout the first 34 minutes or so, it was relatively even. It's just this last little patch has made it that the Springboks are really starting to fire up nicely. And 24 to 9 for the Boks. Oh, we've got to try update it. We're getting there. By the time it's half time, that should be correct. Oh, yeah, I've got there, 9-12. Thanks, mate. I think the TV is wrong. They don't match you. No, my one is still slow. Can you please update the scoreboard? I, once again, have no control over the scoreboard. That is one thing that is slightly a shame for me because everyone always says, oh, you're so lazy, you're not updating your score. But I can't control it, sadly. I just sit here, talk fast. That's all I have to do. But now, it's going to be Kieran Hardy. Pressure on him by Sia Khaleesi, knocking the ball back. Nicely cleaned up there by the young number 10, Sam Costello, who is sitting 3 from 3 so far for the kicking department. I enjoy the Kiwi lads all the time, better than the TV commentaries, says Robert. And also, why not give Colby the kicking duties? I think it is because during that World Cup, we more than likely will not see Cheslin Colby playing every game. So I think that they want to try and get a little bit more consistency going for Mani Libok, because he'll be playing, I think, quite a few of those matches. Definitely early on in the competition. Knocked back by Jasper Visa. Peter Stefter now. Cleaning that one up for the Boks. Wales to win. Says Dyfed. Hopefully I've said that correctly. It's going to be kicked in behind now by the Boks. Starting to play a little bit more of that territory game. The sun is out at the Principality, which is fantastic to see, as it did look like the weather was going to be relatively shaky earlier on. Now Mani Libok looking for the 50-22, and it's out on the full. Okay, so the kicking radar in that department is also a little bit off for Mani Libok. Just getting that one slightly wrong there. And Wales to win the other match by 4 beers, yeah. Says Hensel, and Fuff is the best kicker, says RJJ, although he has been left out for this game. See that the scoreboard has now updated itself, although we are not at 45 minutes, we are only at 39. It will be around that 45-minute mark where we do see Rio Dyer make his way back out onto the field. Why is your scoreboard behind? Because the flash score one is behind. I have no control over it. Now, tackled hard. Castello there by Peter Stefter. Now back to the right-hand side. Aaron Wainwright tackled low by RG Sneyman. A little bit lackluster at the moment for Wales when it comes to their attack in terms of those meters made by the forwards. But when they can get it out the back line, does look a lot more dangerous. Cheslin Colby, though, steals it back. Kicks it in behind, looking for the 50-22, and it's slowly curling that little bit closer. Jesse Creel winning the foot race, but he does end up booting it into touch. 20 seconds remaining in the first half, and I believe for Wales, all they want to do here is get this ball back in, kick it out, and then claim it as half-time. Johnny Williams look for that pass. Unfortunately, the midfield for Wales has been struggling just a little bit more than it normally would, having Johnny Williams at 12, Mason Grady at 13. Great pace shown by Jesse Creel there to almost be able to get to that ball. Morning, Kiwi lads. South Africa's on fire, says Spider Mech. Nicely thrown in there now. And Wales have got this ball. They will now be making their way forward. Maybe you should make your own scoreboard, says Rudy. If I did, it would be even further behind than that one. I can guarantee you that, because the benefit of this one normally is it does do the starting and stopping in terms of the timing. This game's not a good example, but yeah. I think having an extra tab open might be a little bit too much for my PC, but it is going to be halftime now. 24 points to 9 in favour of South Africa. So they had a very good end to this half, putting the pressure on Wales, and they will look to do the exact same in the early stages of that second 40 minutes, with the fact that they are playing up against 14 men. Fuff is great here. That alone is a match winner, says Roof, and lucky escape there, says Fiji Islander. And like us scoring more tries, different players, different tactics for the box, says Francois. And it's always going to be helpful being able to get those tries on the board. I think for South Africa throughout the Rugby Championship, they averaged about 3 and a bit tries, but if they can really ramp that up in their next few fixtures, I think that that's going to be hugely beneficial in the group they're in with the points differential department. Now, if they win all their group stage matches, they don't have to worry about that side of things. But if there are matches that they end up losing, they have to make sure they're winning those other games with big points differentials. Alongside that, can we all talk about, take a moment to note how trash Lebok is, says Dane. His kicking game hasn't been flash throughout this game. His running overall has helped set up a couple tries though. So it's a bit rough that his kicking hasn't quite been able to live up to the expectation of the rest of his game currently. On box 43, Wales 18 final score, says Freddie. I agree with the Fuff here comment. He needs to be in some commercials, says Yvonne. We have got there, don't we understand that this is a chance for Lebok to get as much game time as possible, to get on top of the fly half position, including the kicking task. Result doesn't matter, says Brian. And yeah, they'll be trying to play him as much as they can throughout, I would say, the next game as well. They'll try and give him maybe about 70 minutes. The risky part is if he ends up with an injury, that could really end up costing the Springboks, because then from there you've got Williams and maybe Fuff de Klerk as your fly halves for the Rugby World Cup, depending on the progression of the Andre Pollard injury. You said it can go either way, says Bafana in there as well. And his running game good, kicking is the problem, says Hensel. And also we have got there, they should let Willemse take over kicking duties when he comes on, says Mervilli. And cue the halftime rocket from Gatlin, and well needed as well. But yeah, it will be an interesting second 40 minutes. Rio Dyer will be off the field for the first maybe 4 minutes or so of this second half. But I should mention there is still plenty more rugby taking place today, ladies and gentlemen. We are covering the game between Ireland and England. That will be taking place in the relatively near future at 4:30 a.m. New Zealand time. So in about a minute, or sorry, not a minute, in an hour and 20 minutes is when that one is going to be taking place. Alongside that, we have got the game just a little bit later on, and that will be Fiji taking on France. We have got there from France Smith. Amish, if you give a decent pronunciation, is it Gerhard Vivius? Gerhard Vivius, maybe? I feel like I've said that maybe wrong, actually. I know who he was. You get a further donation. Sadly, don't know who he is, which I feel like will disappoint you a little bit. I can say Gerhard, but I can't say the second part as well, I don't think. I would rather have him making mistakes now so that Lebok can build, says JHP, and Wales rank 10 at the moment. Is that so? Says John, I believe so. They've got themselves that 10th ranking, if I'm not wrong. Cannot read too much. Or the team's not showing their hand, plus players are not going all out to stay fit, says True Crime Room. And the fact that they did lose Liam Williams, Dan Bigger, and also alongside that, Alex Cuthbert just a little bit after the squad or the lineup was announced, I feel like it hurt them a little bit here, Wales. They've gone with a little bit less experience. Sam Costello, I think, has really been stepping up at 10, though, which is quite awesome. I'm sure that you used to wear a suit, or am I wrong, since the conversation station? I do wear it normally for a few of the games. I think next week we're going to have to wear it because it's been talked about quite a bit this week. One of the best live commentary currently on YouTube on this game, says Gibo. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciate it. South Africa top 4, says Happen Beast. They are indeed. So all 4 of the top sides in the world rankings are on the same side of the Rugby World Cup draw. So that makes it very interesting when we get to those quarterfinals. Are you wearing an Argentina shirt again, mate? Are you doing a great job as usual? Says Shala B. But looking through at the games next weekend, I will mention that Wales have not got themselves a contest for next week, but South Africa do. And it's on the Saturday where they will be going head-to-head with New Zealand. 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time, Twickenham Stadium. That'll be 8:30 p.m. South African. And then alongside that, at the same time, Spain are playing Argentina, and also Chile playing the Argentina XV. On the Summer Nation Series side of things, on Sunday morning, England taking on Fiji, Scotland v Georgia, Italy taking on the Japanese, Ireland versus Samoa, which will be a very interesting game after the Samoans have recently got themselves the win over the Barbarians, alongside the Irish playing a little bit later on today. And then France, they will be taking on Australia. That game is at 3:45 a.m. on Monday morning compared to the others on Sunday. Anita Kicker says Cyril, and also Gerhard Vivius was a top South African rugby radio commentator in the 70s, says Ronnie there. Oh, okay. Was he ex-player at all, Ronnie, or was he just a commentator? I assume maybe just a commentator, suit with the lapel, and get rid of the bum fluff next week, says Tom. And will the draw allow an All Blacks versus South Africa final, gents? It certainly will, but there is also a chance that they may meet in the quarterfinals. So if they don't meet in the corners, they can meet in the final. But if they do meet in the quarters, of course, only one will be making their way through. Problem with the box, they can't put a less competitive side away. ABs would have been 30 plus at the moment. Says, I feel though in the second half, I feel like there's going to be a lot of, I guess, aggression and also a lot of early momentum for the Springboks, so they will look to try and get as many points throughout their first 10 minutes as they can. Thank you, says Mojo. And also we have got there, hello, Mofis, says Timothy, I should say. And just the commentator says, Ronnie, and I'll start a YouTube channel just on how to pronounce South African names, but won't help you with Ruiz, says Albert. And we have also got there, Wales don't have a game plan, says Birdie V, although it's been a struggle for them in this contest. Like, they were close up until maybe about 32 minutes through. And then that's where we saw that Rio Dyer yellow card. That's where the screws started falling out a little bit for Wales. But, yeah, it's always going to be a tricky game for them. Warren Gatlin, though, I'm sure that he will look at this game as more of a learning rather than a end-all must-win. We have got there Gerhard Vivier. Is it? Vivier? Live and learn? Or live and learn, says Franz there. So, Gerhard Vivier, no, how do you say the J? Here. Vivier, is it? Maybe Vivier? A little bit of in there, like Ludiacha. And every major team has a world-class fly half, but the world champions, says although we got to mention France recently losing their fly half, and Roman Intermac unfortunately ended up with the injury in the last game, so he will be missing the World Cup, and that seems to be what is happening with a lot of sides. At this stage, we haven't lost any more players for injury at this first 40 minutes, I believe. We saw Cheslin Colby take a bit of an early knock, but it seems like he is going to be all right now. Alongside that, we saw a little bit of a knock for a Welsh player, and anyone sent off yet? Just the one, and that was Rio Dyer, which we did then see the penalty try awarded for the Springboks. We have got there, wasn't a solid first half performance from the Boks, a lot of mistakes there cited. And yeah, even though the scoreboard is heavily in favour of them at the moment, up by the 15 points, they'll look at that first half, go out. Discipline for the first 10 or 15 minutes just wasn't quite where it needed to be. 1 point, the penalty count was 5 against the Springboks, 2 against Wales. But yeah, I think overall they've found a little bit more momentum as we head towards the second half. Anyone looking at the same Lebok as a world-class 10 is an idiot, says Albert. And I've seen the same All Blacks first 5. Zane Sullivan played 10 for Auckland, 6'4", and a great kick and boot. Yeah, and also plays a bit of fullback as well, doesn't he? But talking to the Bunnings NBC, I know that he's playing for Auckland. Tasman losing to Northland was a massive underdog story in that game. I think that they came in as about $4 underdogs and managed to pull their way through, which is quite awesome to see. And Wales had a yellow, says Timothy. Yeah, in the form of Rio Dyer. And hey guys, smash that like button if you are new, subscribe to the channel. That is something I haven't said throughout the whole first half. I've just realised. Anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 30,000 subscribers, I believe, at the moment. So if you do want to help us out, it is hugely appreciated. We've got plenty more rugby coming up in the future, whether it is Springbok games, Wales games. We are doing every single game of the Rugby World Cup on the channel. We cover the sevens as well. Super Rugby, URC, you name it. We have got quite a bit. You say the G. I like you clear your throat. You got that right, says Judy. So, Gerhard. Gerhard, is it? Would that be closer to correct? And Springboks to win by 30 points, says Mornay. Yeah, at the moment it does seem like one of the more likely outcomes. But I'm looking forward to the second 40 minutes because the Springboks, they've gone with the bomb squad off the bench, or at least they've gone with the 6-2 split. Some would argue that maybe it's not quite the same bomb squad we have seen in the past, but Umbanambi Oxnashare returning from his injury at number 17, and Vincent Koch there as 18, Franke Moster, Maka van Staden, and Dwayne Vermeulen there as the replacement loose forwards, although they may look at Moster as a locking option either for RG Snyman or maybe Jean Klein could make his way off the park. Grant Williams, whether or not he comes on for Jaden Hendrickse or does make his way maybe onto the wing, like it has been rumoured. He is at number 22. And then Damien Valimza to close out the side. He's at number 23. And to be honest, I don't know whether he's coming on at fly half, whether he's fullback, or whether there's somewhere else in that back line that the Boks would like to use. And Wales look for that impact of Tane Basham, Thomas Williams with that little bit more experience. At number 21, he will replace Kieran Hardy at some stage throughout the second 40 minutes. Llewellyn at 22, and then Lewis Rees-Zammit, a man who wasn't initially announced in the 23-man side, but due to the injury of Cuthbert, it meant that Rogers went into the starting side, and it meant that Lewis Rees-Zammit took that spot at number 23. But do let me know your score predictions for the overall game, ladies and gentlemen, and also who you think will be the first try scorer of the second half. Bingo, says France. And sorry, just subscribed. Says Mojo, thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. Looking forward to seeing Grant get a run, and they will not bring Valimza on too late. They must bring him on, not too late. And Libbok is gaining confidence the more he plays international games, says Cited. Yeah, because it's a tricky one for Marnie Libbok, because I think a lot of people forget the man has still had less than 10 caps. Because they've seen him do well in the URC, and because he has been around for a little while as one of those top fly halves, people still forget he's just a pup when it comes to international level. So it may take him a little bit longer to start finding his feet when it comes to that kicking department, but overall running game and linking up with Willie Leroux, I feel like throughout the Rugby Championship he proved that he is that starting fly half, and it's just that kicking that people look at and go, well, that's costing us. But if he can sort that side of it out as well, he's got a lot of potential, I think, Marnie Libbok. I mean, she has great pronunciations of all rugby languages. Says Obi, I missed the lineup. Cheslin Play and Hemi, who's the kicker. So Marnie Libbok kicker. Cheslin Colby is playing, but he is playing out on the left wing rather than on the right wing. So he has already had the ball a few times. Almost got himself a try assist. What was the penalty try for? I missed it. So pretty much the way of describing it, if I describe it the way that it looked, it will sound like it shouldn't have been a penalty try. But pretty much Canon Moody was going forward from a cross kick, tried to regather the ball, it hit one of his hands, and then from there, after it bounced free of the hand, Rio Dyer slapped it into touch. So it wasn't called as the knock-on from Canon Moody, but instead it was called as the deliberate put the ball into touch, and they felt that even with Moody knocking the ball on, he would have regathered it and scored the try had it not been for Rio Dyer's hand. So that is why the penalty try was awarded. It split a lot of opinions overall. Did Tane Basham get banned for illegally hitting Farrell on the shoulder with his head? Says Cited. No, but they might go to the board and check it out maybe. Nirvana Welshman farted in the ref's face, says Timothy. That would have been very unfortunate for Andrew Brace, I'm sure. He is now back out on the field alongside the Welsh side at the Principality Stadium. It's great to see that the roof is off, because I thought it was going to be bad weather, but it actually looks like it's very nice at the moment for it. Can you see why you're not, or can see why you're not the coach? And don't know, Rugby Pollard is 10, says Happen Beast. I'll move Pollard to 12, says Hensel, for that one. Although it depends on what they want to do with Marnie Libbok and what Damien Valimza, or sorry, not Damien Valimza, Damien Dealindi is playing like. Because I think that at the moment I would pick Andre Esterhuizen over Damien Dealindi, even though Damien Dealindi has got more experience. I feel like Andre Esterhuizen is in just that little bit more form currently. So I wouldn't be surprised if Esterhuizen gets the crack next week, maybe alongside Jesse Creel in the midfield, or perhaps they even look to shift someone else to number 13. I know that it's been mentioned about maybe having Canon Moody at number 13. I don't think they'll do that just yet, though. They may wait that little bit longer. And Kiwi Lads rocks, and so does South Africa Rugby. I think we might make it this year. Although New Zealand is also amazing and always has been. And Fort Troy said for Limsa in there, and also Richie Mo'unga was shaky in his first 10 to 15 games. Has come right now, says Mojo. Yeah, he's gone from the guy that people were like, nah, he's not international caliber, to now they're like, he has to start. So it is impressive how quickly it can change for a player. And yeah, Labok just needs that little bit of form, I'd say, with the kicking tee. Other than that, though, like I feel like you could almost still play him as the 10 alongside having someone else as the kicker. But nicely taken by Jasper Wiese to start off this second half. The Springboks inside of their own territory. And looks like Hendrickse is going to be putting the ball up high. Still a yellow card for Wales for the next maybe 3 or so minutes in this half. That is Rio Dyer missing. Ball's gone up into the sun. Going to be hard to take, but nicely done by the number 15, Kai Evans. Now kick downfield from the young number 10 who was brought in late, Sam Costello. Jasper Wiese drives at the line. Good bit of counter-rucking there from Wales, but it will still stay on the side of the away side. Or stay on the side of the box, I should say. Now Hendrickse looking to put it back to Mani Libok. Was waiting in the pocket, but does now look to use Willie LaRue out to the left-hand side. They have got numbers here. Jesse Creel inside ball to Cheslin Colby, who tests out the step. He's tackled, picked up, and almost pushed it a touch, but Damien Valimza. In fact, it's Damien Dialende just knocking that ball on in the process. We have a go there. Valimza can also play 13. So when no one holds an opinion other than yours, one knows nothing. Very mature of you, says Hensel there. You don't watch the box a lot, says Abin Beast. But haven't they tried Pollard at 12 back in the day? If I'm not wrong. So I guess it's one of those ones that the Springboks selectors and the coaches are about the hardest team to predict in World Rugby when they decide they want to try things. Because, I mean, people wouldn't have predicted 4 scrum halves in this lineup. Looks like Khaleesi's day is done. He has come off the field sitting alongside the big man, Eben Etzebeth. I believe that will be for Mako van Staden, who they've decided to give the last 40 minutes of the game to. Have not missed a box game in 4 to 5 years. Keep going, mate. Says Hensel, and my final score prediction is 39-22 for the Springboks. Says Freedom and Truth. Now the scrum feed in favour of Wales, but that does not mean they're out of the woods, because every scrum so far has pretty much gone the way of the Springboks. In fact, my apologies, they've actually said that there was a knock-on first of all from Wales, so it is actually a scrum feed for the Springboks. Yeah, Pollard did play 12 sometime, says Mervilli. And now they have been told to use it. The front rows go down off the back here. Jasper Wiese going across now to Hendrickse, Mani Libok. Great attack and run here from the young flyer. Ball on the outside to Cannon Moody, but it was just a little bit behind him. The referee has said play on. They've said it's backwards. The referee on the touchline has said, are you serious? It went for 2 metres. And now they will go back for the scrum. Bottoms up and Bry going for South Africa. Great job, Amy, says Pubs of South Africa. He did not play good at 12. Says Happen Best. Although, saying that, some players, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to be able to find that momentum in certain positions. Jacco Vandenberg had said who's captain now. I believe captain now would probably be Willie LaRue. Maybe? Is that who they'd go with as the cap? Oh, no, Kitsoff. It's got to be Kitsoff, doesn't it? As the captain. And then once Dwayne Vermeulen makes his way on the field, I think they'll end up going with him. The box says John. Now scrum feed for Wales on their 22-metre line. And once... Oh, that's gone down in the front row. Luckily for Wales, they've won the penalty there. That was a massive shove, though, on that far side at scrum time. I think that was from Franz Malharba. Collapsing scrum coming in on the angle, they've said. And go the box, says Komotso. And come on, ref, says Spider-Mek. And Love Andre stays in at 12, says Happen Beast. We have got there, am I a troll? It's called Kiwi Lads, not SA Lads. Could call it Bok Lads, couldn't we? Maybe. Now Rio Dye back on the field and knows what's the best thing that's been said for the whole game so far. Or that's the best thing that's been said for the game so far, says Eben. Now 40 metres out, Wales will be looking to get a little bit more possession early on. in the second half, and they've just almost lost the ball. In fact, they'll win the penalty there. So this second half starting in a similar fashion to the first, which is back-to-back penalties against the Springboks. Discipline, such an important factor for them throughout their next few games. We have also got there more like the Nigerian lad, says Alfie. And also Wales have a knack for coming back in games, says Yetta. Nicely taken. Right, line out time. Are you an All Black or a Springbok? Says Mervilli. Well, I am from New Zealand, but anytime I've done a game of rugby, I do remain impartial, which does annoy a lot of people because they're like, surely you should be supporting one side. But I find for the commentary side of things, if it's down the middle, it's a lot easier for everyone to be able to enjoy it, not just the team that I sound like I'm going for, if that makes sense. But nice run here from Rio Dyer. 22 metres out from the line, only recently coming back onto the field, so we'll be that little bit fresher. They've got numbers here on the left-hand side. Good run forward from Jack Morgan, 10 metres out from the line here for the Welsh. Low tackle made from Jesper Wiese. Kitsoff went for the turnover, but did have to give it away. Now RG Snyman tried to get on the ball. They already had the penalty advantage, though. And now Wales, I believe they'll kick for the corner. I don't think they can afford to go for the 3 points here. That would still have them down by the 12. Good on you, mate. That's why your comms good. Says Hensel, the block penalty count is not looking good, says Rudy. We have also got their Wyants ever getting yellows in there with their horrendous discipline. The thing that's helped them is the fact that it's been for so many different penalties, and not really too many of them have been in a threatening position on the field, because a lot of their penalties coming from inside of the Welsh half rather than inside of their own half. And here we go, says Enzel, kicking for the corner here for Wales, 10 metres out from the line, and big opportunity here for Elliot D, although is that him down at the moment, or is that might actually be Kieran Azarati. It looks like Bongio Manambi now making his way onto the field alongside Vincent Koch and Oxnashare, so an all-new front row. Is there one more player making their way out also? So I'd assume that Billy LaRue is now the captain until Dwayne Vermeulen makes his way on. But Stephen Kitsoff having a decent impact early on in the scrum department. If Wales come back in this game, I'll eat my straw hat, says Jose. Wouldn't be a lot of nutritional value in straw, would there? Now I think about it. In fact, what even would straw count as? Because I know that wheat, you get your carbohydrates and whatnot. A few vitamins in there, but straw, I feel like it's missing some texture or some flavour in it. Franco Mostert playing now? Not yet. They have still got RG Snyman and also Jean Klein out there on the field. What time are you going live for the next match, says Connor? So we are starting 10 minutes before that next match does get underway. And yeah, that is going to be the game taking place between Ireland and England. We may go a little bit earlier if we do have the time to, but nicely stolen by Jean Klein and Oxnashare. And now the Springboks 5 metres out from their line will be looking to kick this one downfield over the touchline. Savisa yelling he's offside. He's not behind the hindmost foot, but it does not find the touchline. So now nicely taken by Rio Dyer. Backs himself to go around. Kanamudi breaks through the tackle. A fun starting as well. And good steal, says Hensel. Now Jack Morgan, the skipper for the Welsh Muckafun, starting trying to get in that breakdown. He's very good at that during the URC, getting the turnovers for the Vodacom Bulls. Him and Dion Forey normally go neck and neck throughout the season statistically. Jack Morgan now, another run from him. Peter Steftatoy making the tackle now. Jesper Wiese trying to get the counter rake, but the ball has popped out in favour of the Welsh. And every breakdown at the moment, South Africa have at least one man going for the jackal, which I feel is something that they will try and use to their advantage. This time it's Oxnashare. Does get in, not able to take it though. Short ball there from Wales. Probably the most phases we have seen from the Welsh throughout this game. Up to 9 now. Now in behind, quick hands. Good tackle made from Kanamudi. Johnny Williams has to wait for the ball to bounce. And maybe this game is still be going, says Rudy. Oh, says Patrick. Welcome in, mate. Are you going on after this match? Says Connor. Pretty much after this game, we will be on for the Ireland versus England game. So there's not a lot of break in between. More than likely, I'll be having a snack after the next contest. We have got there. I like it when you come on early, Amish, says Robert. But the biggest joke is Farrell lifting the World Cup, says Eben. Sounds like there is going to be a little bit of a change here for the Welsh lineup. But it was a good shot coming in quickly from Cannon Moody. I believe might have knocked the ball on in the process though. Go the box, says Maria. So anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is hugely appreciated you all being here for these live streams. It's currently 3:30 a.m. here in New Zealand. We've still got 2 more live streams back to back. Ireland versus England as well as Fiji versus France. So be sure to check that out. 5 penalties for South Africa. Man, ref, says Spider Mick. And check the Discord and who said it. Or check out the Discord and who set up. Took about 3 hours to go from the left to the right, says Novma. So we'll have a quick look at it in between the streams. 32 minutes remaining on the clock. Ireland to have some English today, says Hensel. Hendrickse to put the ball in. It is his first game back for 2023. So I'm wondering whether or not they will look. Oh, it's another penalty at scrum time for the Springboks. Every time we go to scrums, it's just been very tricky for Wales to hold their own. It's something that will give South Africa a lot of confidence going forward towards this Rugby World Cup, where they will be going up against Scotland, Ireland, Tonga, as well as their game up against the Romanians. They'll look to be dominant at scrum time, put the opposition on the back foot. Just talking about Rassie Erasmus at half-time, having a bit of a chat to the team. Salt Bay going to get that World Cup before Farrell, says Casey Jones. And after this, it's football for me. We'll check Irish highlights later, says Hensel. And also Farrell will never touch a World Cup, says Yeda. I was going to say something, but I decided not to because I know that everyone will get angry at me. So I will hold it back. 50 minutes through. Mongium Manumbi. Now goes up to RG Snyman. Maka van Staren. Nice short pass off to Damien Delinde, playing 12 for this game. They may look to rotate. Have Andre Esterhuizen as the next option. That'll be knocked on by Jaden Hendrickse out on the touchline. Bok to win the World Cup. No say what you want to say, says Mervilli. Now 15 points difference at the moment between these two teams. Mostert now on the field. I believe their only sub in the forwards that they haven't made is actually, no, Dwayne Vermeulen's out there as well. So they have made all of the changes to the bomb squad, giving everyone at least 30 minutes throughout this game. Nice run forward from Johnny Williams. Bongia Manumbi tries to get into the breakdown. And also Mostert, he is on the field for Jean Klein, the player that they did end up taking off. Kieran Hardy now rolling it back for Wales. We've hit a patch in the game here where if Wales can try and get themselves 1 or 2 quick tries, they are still in the contest. But if they are unable to get there, I feel like South Africa on the other side of things could definitely build up a little bit more momentum. Another breakdown. In fact, the referee was just about to give the penalty, but instead decides against it as the ball was lodged out of the hands of the South African player. Now, nice back line. Oh, that's an ugly tackle on the back of the knees from Jaden Hendrickse. But now Rio Dyer, inside ball. Nice run from Costello, but they are still about 12 metres out from the line here, Wales, so the job is not done yet. Nice run forward from the skipper, Jack Morgan, 6 metres out. Henry Thomas, the replacement tie here. Broad flat ball stolen by Peter Steph-Toy. It's going to be a foot race, so he gives it off to Jesse Creel as he feels he will be the man with enough speed, and he certainly will be. Jesse Creel is second of the contest, trying to quiet the naysayers. Some were saying we've lost Lucanio. What we're going to do at 13? Jesse Creel, he says I've been here the whole time. I have a funny feeling Australia will win the World Cup, says Obi. And smash a Boca, time for my boys, Red Devils for life, says Warren. Brilliant work. Wales once again just unable to finish the job. They were within the 10 metres. And it's that pass. Peter Steph-Toy with the steal. He'll be able to rush up early, find the ball off to Jesse Creel, and then from there, unfortunately, just didn't quite have the pace. Their number 14, Tom Rogers. Jesse Creel is starting to show that he can be a vital 13, says Mervilli, and Esterhuizen and Creel, says RJJ. And also, it's going to be Bok, first team to win it 2 years in a row, or first team to win it 2 times in a row, says Evan. Didn't New Zealand win it 2 times in a row? Didn't New Zealand win it 2011, 2015? Maybe, actually, is that 2 times away from home in a row? Might be what you're referring to, Evan. And clearly need a match, or need to match the Bok up front. It will be interesting to see how the selections go for the opponent in the World Cup to deal. Says Salvatore, good game for Jesse. Might be good, or might be good boost for him before the World Cup. And yes, 2011, 2015. Says Novmum. And New Zealand will take the World Cup, says the Q lad. Says Casey, I don't know about that. I feel like there are certainly a lot of sides currently that have a good chance of winning that World Cup. Currently 53 minutes through. South Africa, they make the score 31 points to 9 with the successful kick from Mani Lebok. Yes, New Zealand won it 2011, 2015. Says Okurt. Now Mbanambi offloads back to Hendrikse Oxneshe. It's great to see him back for the Springboks just in time for this Rugby World Cup. And I believe throughout this contest we are yet to see an injury, which is fantastic. And what a try, says Birdie V, and man of the match for Jesse Krill. Says Happen Beast, 2 times away from home, crafty Hamish. Says RJJ. I assume that's what he was talking about anyway. I think I saved him a little bit for that one. Now, it's going to be nicely done by Wales on the halfway line to just shift it through the forwards. And they need a try soon, though. They want any chance. Now, they did keep England tryless in their first encounter for the Pacific Nations Cup. Or the Summer Nations Series, I should say, sorry. And at the moment, it seems like it could be going in that same direction, but in the opposite, that's knocked on from Rio Dyer. Another scrum beat for South Africa, which now probably means another penalty. One for South Africa at scrum time. Wales, no chance of this World Cup, says Jaco van den Berg. And New Zealand won it twice in a row, says Sighton. And who will win the Rugby World Cup in France, says Patrick Brady. I think we will first, of course, need to see the teams that are selected. But I think that this year it's more open than it's ever been, which is fantastic for the overall rugby world. New Zealand, France, Ireland and South Africa all on the same side of the draw means that 2 great sides are going to be missing out on the semis, but it's going to be interesting. As for as Willems are on yet, I don't believe they've made his change just yet. And I don't think Grant Williams is out on the field either. As Springboks win the World Cup, then yes, it will be the first team winning it in a row away from home. Go back, bring the cup home, says Kurt. And the Springboks says Doctor. And Irish, all the ABs, I think France will blow it, I think. Says Hensel. Well, the fact that they don't have Roman Intermac now is a little bit concerning for France. And I know that people always say, well, you shouldn't rely on just one player to win a game for you. But the fly half for France, him and Dupont, just such a good combo. And the fact that he's going to be missing is a big shame. Now, Hendrikse puts the ball into the scrum. Nice feed for South Africa. They've actually got out of that scrum without a penalty advantage against them there, Wales. Great step from Damien Dialende. I see that now Thomas Williams is on the field for Kieran Hardy. So I think Wales running a little bit low on the substitution department as well. Vincent Koch, his first carry, is making his way onto the field for Franz Maharba, who had a physical day at scrum time alongside Stephen Kitsoff. Now Lebok goes in behind to Damien Willems, so he has now made his way onto the field. Wide cut out pass to Cheslin Colby, but it's been called as forward. So Willems is on the field for Willie Leroux, going with that 10 and 15 Stormers combo. We have got the ABs or the box, I reckon. I think Ireland and France will both fluff the quarters. And anyone in the top 5 can win the World Cup, says Mojo. And France to beat the New Zealand, says Eben there. Is Damien Dialende play for the Panasonic Wild Knights? I believe so. He's still there, isn't he? I think. He's still playing in Japan anyway, and Red dropped it clearly, says Hensel. We have got there Argentina, my dark horse, says Blue. And yeah, if Argentina can get out of that group stage, all this Andre Pollard and Lucanio both travelling with the side. The moment the extent of Andre Pollard's injury is still yet to confirm if he's going to be at that Rugby World Cup. But I believe that if there is any chance he can be, they certainly will make sure that he does get that opportunity. I think Lucanio a little bit more unlikely, though, out of the two, sadly. And if them boys go the Bok, says Alfie. Interesting wording. And wasn't he playing for Munster last season, Damien Dialende? I think he was the season before, and then he went to Japan, if I'm not wrong. But he was playing for Munster, and then they got the replacement for him of Alex Nankerville, I think, was actually the 12 that they brought in, although he hasn't started yet, so he might have actually been there for the last URC, although I think they might have already had him gone. Now the ball available for Wales. They might almost get themselves in a... No, they didn't get the advantage. Missing out on that one. Probably the closest they've been to the penalty advantage. Cost a lot of pressure on him by Cannon Moody. Does get wrestled down to the ground. Thomas Williams. Hoping to add a little bit more speed into this Welsh back line. Williams again. That time it was actually the man in the midfield, Johnny Williams. Now Williams. That time Thomas going to Johnny. A lot of Williams out there on the field for Wales, and I think there will be for this Rugby World Cup as well. Now going off to the short side, Llewellyn. Tackled by Cheslin Colby. And that might end up being a penalty to South Africa. In fact, it is. They have managed to get the steal. It's none other than Dwayne Vermeulen. And Irish, I thought, winner of quarterfinal 1 will play winner of quarterfinal 3 and winner of quarterfinal 2 versus quarterfinal 4. So South Africa and New Zealand could be in the finals. Or am I wrong? Says Gareth, no, I believe that New Zealand and South Africa can play each other in the final. And then from there, the only other time that they could play is quarters. If I'm not wrong, I don't think they can meet in the semi-finals. Damien Dialende left Munster in 2022, I think, says Charles, and Bokgo. And no country has defended the Rugby World Cup, says Sapora, other than New Zealand, after 2011, of course. But other than that one, no other country has won 2 in a row away from home. Gotcha. 23 minutes remaining in this game. Bullion Manami, this is almost his first line-out throw I think we've seen. A solid performance by this Bok outfit. New Zealand filling in for Wales, says Spider-Mick. ABs did, says Albert. Nicely thrown in. Taken by Mostert. That'll be the penalty advantage, but Dwayne Vermeulen Thor drives towards the line, only 2 metres out. Hendrickson now off to Peter Stifter. Toy, the long arms get him over. And that will be the try for South Africa. Again, they move to 36 now. Should be a nice, easy kick. New Zealand defended, says Charles there. Yeah. And what colour is the All Blacks away top versus France first game? I believe it's white, if I'm not wrong. Kind of white and green. Also, QB lads, 5% of your subscriber base currently in this chat, says Franz Smith. So yeah, it's been an absolutely awesome live stream to have you all here. Anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're back for Ireland versus England a little bit later on tonight. Also, Fiji versus France. And then next week, we're covering South Africa versus the All Blacks. Going to be an entertaining game taking place on Saturday morning, New Zealand time. It's going to be absolutely awesome to see. Now, lining up this kick, it will be Mani Libok. Should be relatively safe. Just getting a little bit of a drink, using up some time on the clock. Taking some deep breaths. Looks like he's in no hurry as well, just having a bit of a chat to the water boy. This margin starting to extend quite drastically. 27 points difference between these two sides. Much more than Wales would have liked. Got to remember, at one point in this game, it was 12 points to 9. Then from there, South Africa getting themselves 4 tries back-to-back. We're going for 50 if Libok doesn't blunder, and that kick from Mani Libok has gone over. Now making it 38 points to 9, I should say. I believe All Blacks are wearing black in the first Rugby World Cup game. Who scored the try now? So that time it was Peter Stifter Toy. Managed to reach out at RG Snyman with him and just able to push his way over. Showing the referee cam. It's not the best quality, unfortunately. They might want to work on that for the Rugby World Cup. Damien Dialende now kicks that one downfield from inside of his 22. And 45 metres out, Wales are going to have themselves another line out. They're bringing on another Williams. This time, I believe it is... Who is it this time? Teddy Williams. And also, I hear Jaden Hendrickson is coming off the field. And that is going to be for Grant Williams, who makes his way back out there. His first minutes since that Argentina game where he was knocked out. This Wales team is not even half-baked. Says Enzo in half a century. Score coming up, says Flavio. And also your sleeping routine is going to be whacked this World Cup, says Yako. It certainly is. Even this weekend, I'm probably going to end up giving myself jet lag with the hours that we're keeping over just these 2 days. Like I mentioned, I had about 4 hours sleep before this live stream. Oh, interception again for Cannon Moody. Wales backline. I think they're passing to the guys in green. But instead, Moody runs in another interception try. That's almost the third of the day, or second of the day at least anyway. And that is now going to make the score 43 points to 9. Wales need to get another try, says Patrick. They need to stop passing to the men wearing green and gold. That would be a good start. Moody, his 4th international try and his 7th cap for the Springboks. And second, says Enzel. And game over, says Yeda. I think the game was already far from competitive even before this try for Canon Moody. God, Wales are also awful, says Yvonne. Oh, you do have to feel for them a little bit here, the Welsh. I know that people won't look at this as a factor, but they did have a few players out just before this game, losing a lot of experience. They put a young side out here, taking a few risks in that department, but the Springboks at the moment, they've been clinical throughout this game, and that has been the big difference maker. Wales still yet to get themselves a try. We have got there 12, saw him coming. Why didn't he pull the pass, says Fiji. And the Boks are going to put 50 on them, says Yvonne, and come tumbling down, says Blues name. And the Boks also says Hensel. Now, Mani Libok be lining up this kick, Boks in good form. I made mistakes here, and they need to work on that. Then the Boks will be unstoppable, says Pizza. Yeah, some would say that they are picking at just the right time coming into this Rugby World Cup. Few selections that may be getting cemented after the way we've seen them play in this contest. I think, for one, Jesse Creel at number 13 seems like that is going to be what they will go with in the future now. Just from this one game. It's crazy how quickly it can change the coaches, but also the public's opinions of a player. You know, you turn red when you get tired, says Rudy. I turn red in most cases. If I get embarrassed, I turn red. If I walk or jog anywhere, I turn red. And also when I'm running low on oxygen. Here comes Jesse Creel again. Nice work. Mani Libok cut out past her. Chisel and Colby. At the moment, the Boks are just running in motion 15 metres out from the line. Wales having to try and defend here. Looks like there could be another try just around the corner. Better Steph the Toy. Great low tackle made on him by Teddy Williams, who's just made his way onto the field. And like the commentators have just mentioned, there is still 17 minutes to go in this contest, which means there's still another chance that we see a couple more tries from the Springboks. Now, flat ball off the Bongi on Manumbi. Ball pops out the back. It's going to be another penalty advantage against Wales. Mostert runs at his opposite number. Williams makes a couple more metres. Williams goes across to Mani Libok. Puts the ball up high. Chasing after this is Jessel and Colby. The ball's been knocked out of their hands, but they will go back for the original penalty in favour of the Springboks. Watch out, Scotland, says Marion. And South Africa might score more than the Black Caps. And Ozahami, I believe South Africa 24 points, not 12, says Spider Mick. And there as well, in a half century, it's possible now, says Cited. Right, they're talking about the foul play from Wales, so it will now be the penalty to South Africa again. And final score 67-9. Seems like it could be likely at the moment. The way that South Africa have been able to just absolutely tear it up in the second 40 minutes. What is the penalty count for the second half? I believe we're sitting about 5 apiece. Oh. So they're saying a pull down in the air from Chisel and Colby. So I believe due to that, the penalty will then be reversed. And it will instead go the way of Wales. Paul Gatlin must really be regretting his decision to return, says Justin. And now the penalty goes the way of the Welsh. Bok loose forwards have dominated the contact and the breakdown. This is where the difference is, in my opinion. Yeah, we haven't really seen much physicality coming from the Welsh loose forwards. Like Dan Lydia, I haven't said that man's name once. Yet he's been out on the field, I believe, for a majority of this game. Also, Jack Morgan, he's had a couple moments. Aaron Wainwright hasn't been terrible, but just not enough compared to some of those boys that we're seeing out there on the field, like Sapeta Steph de Toy. And now Mako van Staden really trying to cause a problem. And Verna Smith has said, thank you, Kiwi lads. I think you are doing a great job at commentating. Thank you very much, mate. Usually appreciate it. We've got 2 more games later on today as well, with Ireland taking on the English, as well as France versus Fiji. Running forward now will be the big number 5, Will Rowlands. Right, ball getting rolled back. Thomas Williams puts it up high. Being chased hard currently for Wales. They just need some possession. Oh, and that's the reversal of that same challenge that we saw down the other end. Now Chisel and Colby taking the quick tap for South Africa. Driving. Oh, he's had his knees bent backwards there. And the tackle attempt Wales managed to get the turnover. Jack Morgan finds the flick pass up now to Tane Basham, who I feel might be one of the players who can bring that physicality. Another loose ball, hard crunching on the neck there of Sam Costello. The last thing they want is another fly half injury for Wales after Dan Biggar earlier on in the week. Now Thomas Williams looking to roll this one back. Score will be 47 points to 9. Says Atini there. However, just had a feeling that it would be a wipeout. And Boks are playing such an awesome game, and it's a pleasure to watch. Who do we play next? So next week, the Springboks will be taking on New Zealand. That is going to be at 6:30 a.m. New Zealand time on Saturday. Also alongside that, Sunday morning, that'll be Friday night, 8:30 p.m. South African time. It's when that one will be taking place. Even muted Hamish is better than all other channels, says Albert. I feel like, I guess you're just watching my facial expressions. I think it's safe to open the beers, says Marnus. I think so. Although here in New Zealand, it's currently sitting 3:50 a.m, so maybe a little bit early for myself to start drinking. Of course, I've got water though. That's always fun. We in South Africa and our kids are in Napier, New Zealand. Potty, they sleeping well down Bok. And Potty South Africa can keep the electricity on for our Boks. Awesome commentator, does a really good job, says Kingdom. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciated. Anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers. We are getting close to the Rugby World Cup. We will be covering every single match. That looks like there's now going to be an HIA here for Wales. Working out exactly who it is. Or too late to start drinking, says Rudy. And my dad lives in Napier too. Hello from Budapest, says Adam. Okay, we're in Bongi Manambi asking one or two questions to the referee. That is nothing new. Bongi Manambi talks to the ref more than any player we have seen in World Rugby. That's a bold statement, but I've seen him play for the Sharks in the URC, so I feel confident in that one. Loving the scoreline. Wales giving Boks all the tries, says Rugby Itch. And also watching from Iraq, says Rian. And awesome when the power is off, says Eben there. And also my parents live in Christchurch. I'm working in Switzerland. Says into an awesome commentary watching from Atlanta, Georgia. In the USA, says Nick. Now scrum feed for Wales. Thomas Williams going to be feeding this ball in. Grant Williams. He'll be hoping to have a little bit of an impact here. I mentioned how there are a few halfbacks all fighting for maybe the same spot. When it comes to that Rugby World Cup, they may end up ditching one of the four and going instead with Pollard if he is fit. Frans Mahalabert is a good prop. Played for the Stormers, says Spider-Mick. He certainly did. Quite a few of these South African players playing for the Stormers throughout the URC, but Wales just managing to retain that scrum. Now Williams goes across again. Should mention it was Sam Costello who went off the field due to the crunching tackle he got. And greetings from South Korea. Love the channel, says Scott. And good commentary. Great to listen to an objective commentator. Keep it up, says Fanny there. Thomas Williams now putting the ball high for Wales, who just needs something in this final 15 minutes, and now they don't have the ball. Canon Moody doing well to be able to take it. Now Williams goes across to Oxnishare. To the left now. Mani Lebot going for the cross kick up and under again. That is something that they have used predominantly throughout this game. Chislin Colby may have been taken out. In fact, he was, and the penalty goes against Wales. Their discipline is looking like under nines at the moment. Yeah, they put LS on during the match. Good thing the South Africa money don't know who they are, says Gail. And watching from Czech Republic, great job, mate, says Paul. And I had a signed rugby South Africa Bok. I have a Sind rugby, and South Africa are going to win, says Alan. Now looking for the touchline is Mani Lebok. They will look to put this right in the corner, go for that rolling maul, which we haven't seen a huge amount of in the second half. Malcolm Murrock's trying to get it to work in the first, so it'll be about 7 metres out from the line. And Mongio Manambi will be looking forward, trying to get this one to move towards the try line. I feel this Rugby World Cup is going to be a tight one. Let's go the Springboks, says Tobago there, and great commentating, says Bill. And cheers, Hamish, you rock, bro, says Matthew. Thank you very much, mate. What are the chances South Africa loses this match? I would say if South Africa lose this match from here, I will shave every hair on my body and my head and my face and wherever else you want me to shave it. It's not happening, unfortunately, for the Welsh. That's going to be another penalty advantage. Definitely not if they're giving away penalties like that The rolling ball, looking strong, taken down 3 metres out from the line. Williams goes off to his right-hand side, off to Peter-Steph du Toit. He's been held up over the try line. So they will go back for the 5-metre penalty every here, says the Gaming King. And on live, maybe not on live because it's here in places that shouldn't be on live. But, you know, other than the ones outside of it, yeah, sure. Clinton liked the channel. It says, go whenever you're on your body, bro. Don't do it. Trust me, learn from experience. It's a bad idea, says Adam. Well, if the Springboks lose from here, then I would be more than happy to oblige, but there's no way that is happening. It looks like South Africa are going to get themselves almost another try. The referee almost making a tackle. Grant Williams goes off to Oxnechet again. 5 metres out from the line. Williams going back across. Looks like they've actually gone with a pop up to a rolling maul here from the Springboks. Doesn't look like it's a bad tactic at all, just short of the line. It's become a penalty advantage, and I feel like that is a tactic that we may see from the Springboks in the future. Off-wide to Damian Valimza, who scores the try. It's another one, and that's the 50 on the board for the Springboks. They will never lose. Says Andrea, we have got there, you still need to wear the fuff underwear. That's going to be a yellow card as well now. We have got also only in our dreams, or in your dreams, says Blues Nate. And man, I like this guy's commentating, says Mervilli, but Damian Valimza, it was the wide cutout pass. He didn't need to go to Kanamuni, who was on his outside. Bro, you won't look different. Believe it would look like a broken condom with a polo neck jersey, says Clinton. It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, Clinton. And told you LeBock's up his game when Valimza is on. Yeah, it's just that Stormers chemistry, isn't it, from the URC. Great cutout pass. It's actually Teddy Williams who goes off the field for the yellow card. So Wales going to be playing with more than likely 14 for a majority of the rest of this game. It's just hurting them badly. This is exactly what the Springboks would have been wanting heading just before the Rugby World Cup, although they've still got next week where they may look to make quite a few changes. Now, we will have the commentary for that game on the channel as well, ladies and gentlemen, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Oh, this can't be doing Wales any good at all, says Joss Pike. Not exactly, no. They haven't had the most successful Summer Nation series. They'll have a lot to think about before they head into their first game up against Fiji in only around 20 days' time. But, yeah, they'll certainly be disappointed with what has been happening. Told you Valimza would score, says Mervilli. And your pronunciation of the South Africa player names are close to perfect, says Mark White, or Mark Waite, I should say. I've spent a lot of time practicing them. We've done the URC in the past. We've done the Curry Cup to try and learn all of these names to the best of our ability. And yeah, hopefully they keep on rolling off the tongue for the World Cup. The perfect warm-up game and a confidence booster. Thanks, Wales, says Robert. And great unbiased commentary, says Reza. Thank you very much. Nice wide pass out to Rio Dyer now. Oh no, Williams. No, it's Valimza who's taken the knock on the forehead. The referee says stop straight away. This might end up being Damian Valimza off. Now, I don't think he'll be missing the World Cup for it unless it's something a little bit more serious than that concussion. But it looks like Rio Dyer, it's actually head on head. This might end up going upstairs. Show me the South African lineup, Amy. I want to see the halfback Kurtley Rinson, says Spider-Meek. Well, he is not for this game, sadly, but in the future, we might see Kurtley Rinson. Maybe not at halfback, but maybe at fullback. Could be another position that they look at. That's Pollard into the World Cup. Says Hensel. Wales taking Vaseline home tonight, Shane. Says, I was there from Shanti. Oh, now, there is mitigating circumstances here, but Damian Valimza has not really ducked a lot there. So the only thing that they'll say, perhaps for Damian Valimza, is the fact that Maka van Staden was slightly dragging Rio Dyer down, but I can see this being at least a yellow card here for Damian Valimza. If not, head contact, he's upright. It's a yellow card for sure, was the comment. That was a terrible Irish accent, but he will be going off the field. They can now review it, see whether or not they want to upgrade it to being a red card. If it is, there is a chance that Damian Valimza gets a 3-match suspension, which would then mean that he does miss the first 2 games of the Rugby World Cup. So this will be an interesting time here for South Africa. Willie LaRue makes his way back out onto the field. I believe he might have cut himself on the forehead as well here, Damian Valimza, which is a bit of a shame, seeing as he only recently made his way onto the field and also only recently got himself that try. And now Wales will be kicking this one towards the touchline It wouldn't be a Wales game without at least a few yellow cards. That's now the third of the contest. Rio Dyer is the worst wing ever to play for Wales. Says Power Bite. I can't see England or Wales doing well in the World Cup, says Okhurt. Oh, 2 balls on the field. So they will have to have their line out again. It was nicely won by Wales, so they'll be a little bit disappointed about it having to be taken off. Better or worse than Owen Farrell tackle? It's a tricky one, to be honest, because Owen Farrell, the big difference was he led like this. Damien Valenza, he did have the wrap, but he was still tackling way too high. He didn't really duck down. So it's probably, to be honest, they might actually upgrade it to a red. The only thing that might save him is the fact that Marcos van Staden was starting the tackle on Rio Dyer, so slightly bringing him down. Whereas Fat de Klerk, he's not playing for this game, but we may end up seeing him next week in the game up against the Kiwis. Even Elton Yankees could win this game, says Hendrik. And also, thanks, Connor needs needs his team to touch up on the discipline. Now only 5 metres out. Wales take the quick tap off the penalty. Now only a few metres out. Going to the short side. Thomas Williams with the snipe. He was short of the line. He thought he was over, but he will have to have a couple more phases. Short side here has to be the try, and it's going to be none other than the big man at number 16 there, Sam Parry, who gets over the try line. And that is the first try of the match for Wales. Yes, it doesn't change much in terms of this game, but it will give them just that little bit more confidence than they would have had they not scored at this point. All Blacks or Springboks will win the World Cup. No chance from the Northern Hemisphere, says Alfie. And yeah, just short of the line for Thomas Williams. They opted for the quick tap. They wanted to keep this game progressing, moving forward. Like they said, so close. Just short of the line. Thanks for excellent commentary, says Frederick. Thank you very much, mate. We have got the next live stream will be taking place in a very short moment. It is between Ireland and England, and we will be covering that one on the channel. So be sure to check that out. Also, after that game, we've got Fiji versus France. Was it a yellow? They gave it as a yellow, but it is under review, which does mean over the next about 6 minutes or so, they can then upgrade to a red card for Damien Valenza. All Blacks a pity, says Clinton there. Something that makes me think you might not like the All Blacks much, Clinton. At a guess, are the Welsh nations in shock, says Flavio. I think they're still struggling a little bit, to be honest. And, you know, who knows? Maybe they make a big rotation and they start to get it right come Rugby World Cup time. But at the moment, it just seems like it is not going to be hugely likely. Now, the kick has gone over, making the score at 16 points to 52. We have got there, and the chat warm-up matches mean a lot of these things, Blues, says Connor. And next week's game is an important one for the Box, says 123MS. And the big thing for that game will be get out of it without injury. Right, we've got news of the red or the yellow card. Are they going to upgrade it? Yellow card remains yellow card, which now means that Damien Valenza is free to play for the rest of the warm-up games. Although saying that, I don't know whether or not that's serious because we've seen Owen Farrell's scenario, how it got upgraded to a red and then it got taken away. So I assume for now, Damien Valenza's all right. Although he might not be playing next week as he might have a concussion anyway. Real test is against the ABs regardless of the result, says W. Van Vick. Now Wales sitting 22 metres out from their line trying to make this a respectable scoreline, although it is hard to do when you have conceded 50 points throughout 74 minutes. Now Thomas Williams puts the ball up high. Yellow card was wrong, says Nicholas. Are you saying it would have been a red card in your opinion? And did Valenza get a card? So he got a yellow card. So he would be able to return in this match, but he has actually probably failed his HIA, so he won't be coming back out on the park. He's going to be knocked down by Cheslin Colby. In fact, it was knock on by, I think it was the Welsh number 5 in the end who put that down, a dude, OF. And that one is different. Or Owen Farrell, you're comparing apples and pears now, says Enzo. Exactly right. Owen Farrell did like that. Damien Valenza around like that. And great to be a South African today. Going to pour me a double gin and Sprite now. Cheers, says Prinzo. And also we have got there, what's the score now? So the score is sitting 16 points to 52 with only the 5 minutes remaining on the clock. I mentioned while we have got a bit of a stoppage, players are having some drinks and also a bit of an injury, or actually a boot replacement for RG Snyman by the looks of it. Anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 30,000 1,000 subscribers. So if you do want to help us out, it is hugely appreciated. We are back each and every week with the live commentary, no matter the hour of the night. It is currently 4:30 a.m. here in New Zealand, but we're still up doing the commentary, and we will continue to do it all throughout the Rugby World Cup. Who scored for South Africa, says Gershon. So we've seen a try from Damian Valimza. We've seen Cannon Moody score, who has just been awarded the player of the match. We have seen a penalty try. We've seen 2 from Jesse Creel, 1 from Malcolm Marks, and 1 from Peter Steph-Toy. I think that was almost all of them. If I got all of those tries, I'm almost impressed with myself. To be honest, normally I forget about half of them, but I think that was every try that we've seen. We have got there what game you're covering next. So the next game is kicking off in 25 minutes. That is the match between Ireland and England. And we are also covering that game on the channel. So we'll be starting around 10 minutes before the kickoff, maybe about 15 if we are lucky and have time in between the streams. But yeah, that will be the next one that we do end up covering on the channel. That was really good, says Rudy. Yeah, I think it was most of them, wasn't it? And they are drinking Branners, says Hendrik. What is a Brunner? Is that like it's probably not like a banana. If you drink a banana, I guess it's got to be in a smoothie form, doesn't it? Or else it's probably a bit off the banana if it's liquid. Penalty goes the way of South Africa. 4.5 minutes remaining. Marty Libok will once again look to put this one down towards the 22-metre line. And Brandy and Coke, says Shante. And yo, how does this result affect the world rankings? I don't think it changes too much. South Africa may boost themselves just that little bit, but I think it's next week's game up against New Zealand that will change the rankings a lot more. And Wales kid wanted to push and saw it was Vermeulen and just turned away, says Hensel, so he's smart. That's the bigger thing. And Brunners are good, says Gershon. And Island number 1, not for long. South Africa will take over, says Mike. And Brunner is Brandy and Coke. Oh, I never knew that. I've heard of a Brandy and Coke, but I didn't realise that a Brunner was a way of saying it. So thank you very much for that info. I feel like now I'm going to be all hip. When I'm out and about, I'll be like, hey, you're getting a Brunner, and everyone will look at me like, what do you say? You want a banana? 3.5 minutes, Bongi Manambi, throwing the ball in. I don't normally try and get a banana on a night out. I will mention I don't normally go on many nights out either, as you can probably tell, because I do these streams in the middle of the night. But I'm Manambi, finally the offload away to, it's Grant Williams, 3 metres out from the line, Damien Dealende, going across the Ox Nest here. Fell kind of awkwardly on that ankle, hopefully didn't end up tweaking it. Now Maka van Staren, this looks like South Africa are only inches away from getting themselves yet again another try. Grant Williams, after Vincent Koch, nice step, but has his ankle taken out early from Jack Morgan. Williams up to Ox Nest here. He's getting some big contact in his first game back. Williams up to Vincent Koch. It just seems to be a front row party at the moment. And now Peter Steph-Toy says, nah, I want to go. And it's a knock-on from Wales, then a knock-on from South Africa. Scrumpy for the Springboks only a few metres out. Safa slang, bud, says Craig. Dude, are you commentating or what, says Walker? No, I'm not. Just talking fast. Hamish, your innuendos are hilarious. And also we have got there, you to a Bok fan on this channel today, says Gal. It looks like there might be some sort of injury at number 18 for Henry Thomas currently. We're in ref cam. And it makes no difference what you say, mate. I've never understood a word you say, says Henk. I'll take it as a compliment, I guess. I might be talking to be fair, when I get really quick talking, I always sound Australian. Seems to bring a little bit of that out. Georgia beating USA Rugby. Score 12-8 at the moment. Hamish Brunners on me when I'm in Christchurch again. Might have to take you up on that. And you really do not need to get the Afrikaans pronunciation right. Or you're English speaking and it doesn't matter at all, says Gail. Although I do still like to get the names right, mainly because I always find, like, I don't want it to be, if I'm mispronouncing, it can come off as like I haven't tried to learn the name, or it seems like I'm being disrespectful to the player by not pronouncing their name properly. So I always spend that little bit more time trying to get those names correct so that, you know, at least I've made an effort to try and say it well rather than just kind of guessing, if that makes sense. Are you commentating the England game? We certainly are, up against the Irish. That has taken place in a very short moment, in fact. Still 77.5 minutes through in this contest. It's going to be an entertaining one for the final moments, in South Africa right in the box seat to go on and get themselves maybe another try. Say Biltong. Says Henk there. I think Hamish can do so much better than have you as one of his meditators or mediators. Wait, the Kiwi lads to me? I'm confused, Connor. Scrum's gone down. Crowd are chanting a little bit of Bon Jovi. Quite a few South African supporters in attendance, and they would have been absolutely loving what they have seen. What is the difference between Kiwi and Aussie accent? Aussies are annoying. No, I'm joking. It's Aussies have a little tiny bit more of a twang, I would say, in terms of like, this would be more of an Australian accent than the Kiwi one, which now that I'm talking in Kiwi probably sounds the same. To be honest, it's pretty similar. I'm not trying to pronounce the names correctly. It's the most Australian commentary trait, says Flash. And yeah, I've heard a lot of commentary throughout my time that hasn't been Flash in terms of the way that they pronounce them. And I listen to it, I'm like, got to try and get that one right. I think the Irish will take the win later, says Rian. And just joking, mate, I enjoy your commentary, says Henk. Now it's going to be kicked downfield from Wales after the free kick goes their way from the pre-engagement of the South Africans. Now Chisel and Colby looking to run it back. Nice tackle made on him by Tane Bash, and Williams slings it to this left-hand side, RG Sname, and he's had a great game at number 5. I feel like he has certainly helped cement himself as a good option. We appreciate you trying to pronounce the names correctly. Good work, bro, says Tobogo. Oh, this might be a rolling away penalty. Yes, it is going to be the advantage, at least, against Tane Basham for not being able to get away in time. Damien Delindi now looking to straighten with his run. Tackled by Nicky Smith. Williams, cross to Marnie Libok, puts the chip in behind. Cheslin Colby doesn't quite get it, and the penalty goes back for South Africa again. It's good you try to get the names right. A little bit earlier on. It's show respect. I'm not an Afrikaner, says Brian. But yeah, I feel like all throughout the Rugby World Cup, hopefully the pronunciation of certain countries won't be terrible. I feel like there's some names that I still struggle a little bit. Georgian names are my kryptonite, but we're going to be covering all of their games on the channel, so it's going to be fun. How you doing, says David? Doing very well, mate. Got the next game just around the corner in 18 minutes. Actually looks like South Africa, at 80 minutes through this game, rather than opting to go for the corner, they are going to take on the 3 here. So they will rather close out this game without risking another injury, without showing too much near the end of it. I should say. We have got there, David, to see what a pity we have to suffer verbal diarrhea, which includes opinion, speculation, and comments on stuff nothing to do with the game, rather precise commentator. Nevertheless, thank you for the feed, says David. Well, luckily, David, Super Sport, Flow Rugby, all of those ones will be able to show you the game as well, and you won't have to listen to my verbal diarrhea. Now, it's going to be Mani Libok to line up the kick. 52 on the board currently for South Africa. This will make it 55. And he's missed. So it will be 52 to close out the game. In fact, there isn't the distance on it. And now Lewis Rees-Zammit looking to run it up. Looks like Wales want one last crack in this game. Going off to the left-hand side, they could put this ball into touch, but instead they want to go for one last attack. Kai Evans, nice pass away to Thomas Williams. It's knocked on. Peter Steftatoy kicks it into touch. Says, that will do us, thank you. And that'll be the end of the contest, ladies and gentlemen. A dominant performance from South Africa. At one point in this game, the score was sitting 12 points to 9. It didn't at the end. 52 points to 16. Thank you. Excellent commentating. And I appreciate what you do. Thanks again in the chat from It Was Bert. And also just remember, look at the results of the past 10 games, or don't. That's a loss as far as I'm concerned, says Connor. And cheers, mate. Football time, says Hensel. Although we are about to have the next live stream taking place between Ireland and England. So anyone who's curious about that game, also alongside that, we have got Fiji versus France that little bit later on. Thanks, Hamish. See you on the other side, says Yvonne. And also, don't change a thing in your commentary, mate. We like the interaction, says Joss Pike. And that is one thing that I've always tried to add into the commentary side of things, is I don't want it to be just purely commentating, because the thing that makes these live streams, I think, so special is the fact that we get to hear opinions from people all around the world. We get to chat to you guys on a weekly basis, and it's as if we've created a little community of rugby lovers who just love watching the game and talking about the game. So, yeah, there'll still be commentary in there, of course, alongside it, but we will have our odd little conversation outside of it. You're the best, says David. Great commentary. Felt like watching the game live. Says Alfie, and well done, Kiwi lad. Says Madigan. And there, Aussies and New Zealanders the same. Says Rooster, and like and sub, says Polly Bear. Yeah, anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It is hugely appreciated, you guys all being here for these live streams. Like I mentioned, England versus Ireland just around the corner. We are covering that game, and we have got about a 10-minute build-up for that contest. And that will be starting in 5 minutes' time. Maybe you speak good English, and it's completely, it's easily comprehensible, says Gal. And I avoid channels that commentate like they're at the horse races. Do you, Gareth? You've been here for a wee while, though. I normally talk pretty quickly. And I don't pay R1,000 a month to watch rugby. I love your channel. I have done very well today, Heather, in Mossel Bay, South Africa. So thank you very much, Heather. Hugely appreciated. And yeah, we've got plenty more action, including South Africa versus New Zealand next weekend. So we will be covering that game for anyone who is curious about that one. Alongside that, it is going to be also earlier in the week, we're doing our Springbok lineup prediction. We're going to be doing the lineup actual announcements for New Zealand and South Africa as well. And that David guy should go fly a kite. If he is negative about your commentary, you're doing a good job, says Bert. And also we have good damage. You have my respect. Great attitude. But you don't need to worry about it at all, says Gal. That's one thing I always find is on these live streams, like, I don't know whether it's just me in general, but I always find it very hard to, like, be negative about a game of rugby, if that makes sense. Like, I always try and find the positives, and I know that annoys some people, but other people are like, yeah, it's nice. It's good to hear. Hello from South Africa, says Debbie. Welcome in. You want to have a quick bathroom break, Hamish? Thanks for the commentary, you legend, says it was Derry there. I think I'll be all right, to be honest. I got a bottle just... I'm joking. I would not pee in this bottle. Definitely not while it's still got good water in it. Maybe afterwards. Lebok equals liability, says JR. Although he had some decent assists throughout this game. Yes, his kicking let them down to a certain extent. But he also was still able to set up maybe about 2 or 3 tries for the South Africans. The wide cutout pass to Damien Williams with the cross kicking was being effective. And see you in a bit, Hamish. Thank you for an awesome stream, says Birdie V in there as well. And then Mornay Stain to come back, says Hendrick. And kicking aside, he was good, says Hensel. Yeah, I think it was just, the kicking stat is going to need worked on as we head further towards that Rugby World Cup. You have more South Africa people here than your own country, says Clinton. You guys are doing a fantastic job, says Mark. Thank you very much. And we will be back in 3 minutes' time for Ireland versus England. So anyone who is new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Do you take any beer, wine, or whiskey, Amish? So I am currently on the water because I've got about a 22-hour day of being awake. So I feel like water is the best way to go. Keep me hydrated. Keep the brain slightly working. But thank you all very much for tuning in. I'll see you all in about 2 or 3 minutes for that next live stream. We will see you all for the next one.